Going what's on, guys? It is episode 332 of Culture Pop Crisis. My name is Brett, and I'm here with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, Pop Vulture Crisis fans. It is I, Mary. Happy to be back with you today. It's going to be a more casual, chill vibe on the stream today because it's a two-person show. Shane sadly was not able to make it, but we're going to be just fine without him, okay?
If people were wondering why we did that, that is because I have managed to make 2 screw-ups in the thumbnails in less than 2 days, which is, a fantastic accomplishment. It was either that introduction or introduce myself as Brett Dyslexivic.
Brett Dyslexivic. I like it. That's clever.
Yes. So
did someone make that up for you? Or
no.
Okay.
I just came up with it. So we're gonna talk about a bunch of stuff today. As long as we can spell everything correctly in the thumbnails later, we'll be fine. We're gonna get into Disney hiring, they've commissioned their first ever, I guess you would call it, a plus-sized character for a lead protagonist in an upcoming short film that I believe just came out called Reflections that deals with the topic of body dysmorphia. I want to talk about that and kind of fold that into the fake astroturfed outrage that connects Taylor Swift's new video.
People are mad at Taylor Swift right now for being fat-phobic. We'll get into that.
Also, Olivia Cockburn is threatening to make a DC movie for all of us.
If you don't recognize the name Olivia Cockburn, it's because Olivia Wilde changed her legal last name to Wilde.
Yeah, it is what it is. I would have probably changed it too. There's nothing wrong with that.
The absolute worst last name ever.
As long as she's threatening us with that, I will make that joke at least once an episode. Also, for some reason, somebody over at Universal has not gotten the memo about what is an absolutely horrible idea, and they still want to make a girl boss Fast and the Furious movie, which is literally the opposite of what you're supposed to do with a Fast and the Furious movie. So we will get into that. We got Podluck, we got a bunch of other stuff, and it's just gonna be me and Mary today. So I guess I only have you to ask. Mary, are we ready?
I'm ready.
You ready? All right. So it says, Disney just introduced its first plus-sized heroine in a short film about body dysmorphia. The first thing I thought of when I saw heroine was that there was a line in like an episode of Bones where she keeps referring to herself as a hero because she won't say heroine because she says it sounds too druggy.
Oh, I never understood why it needed to be a gendered word anyway.
Well, we're long past the days. Well, we'll just call it Herrickson.
She's not a heroine.
Yeah.
The story is her name's Bianca. She's a child ballerina, and while she's dancing, she feels like she gets consumed by all of the mirrors around her because she has body image issues.
Yep.
And then she has to overcome that by dancing anyway, and then all of the mirrors shatter around her. And that's about her finding her inner grace and inner beauty, because she certainly doesn't have outer beauty. It's kind of fat-phobic in and of itself, even though it's trying to be the opposite.
I got a question. Is there any world in which this gets made that involves her making any type of physical change to herself by the end of the movie?
I don't think so. The thing is, some people are saying it's good to have a protagonist that's plus size, but allow them to be portrayed like doing physical activity and expressing themselves, and you don't really need to address the fact that they're fat.
That's my problem with this. I was thinking, the first thing I thought of, it's not even a main character, but it was Ned in the Spider-Man trilogy with Tom Holland. He's a main character. He's like one of the main characters in that movie. And when it's a character like that, it doesn't matter. Like when it's not.
If it's a male character, it definitely doesn't need to be addressed as much as if it's a female character. I don't know why. And
what I've noticed is that what this creates, at least this is an animated movie, but if this was a live action movie and they were telling the same story, what it does is it creates a cycle of activism, meaning that they choose to make it an actual topic for the story. And then when people actually talk about the topic that they chose, they get defensive when they talk about it in any way that isn't about a positive representation of what they were saying. And then they become angry, and the articles get written about how they're angry that people didn't like what they did. And it becomes a weird cycle of activism that circles back through that wouldn't be there if it was a male character, because if it was a male character, it would just be an aspect of who he was. It wouldn't be relevant to the story. Being overweight isn't a character trait that needs to be addressed in a movie like this.
I don't want to read into the intentions behind it too far, because a lot of people are tweeting about this saying they're showing children a fat protagonist so that they end up being fat and lazy and they can't resist government overreach or like something like that.
What Ian Miles Chong said?
Yeah, something to that effect.
They want you fat, helpless, and dependent on the government.
However, this is definitely a departure from the type of messaging that Disney movies were giving children not too long ago. Think of WALL-E. I love that movie, and they give a warning about obesity, but also about like spiritual laziness at the same time. But that's just an outward manifestation of it. I saw this tweet that said it took only 14 years for Disney to go from warning about obesity in WALL-E to celebrating it in Reflect. And yet people still think big corporations are being genuine and not using movements such as body positivity to capitalize.
This is what I would call, if I was to be honest, cynical capitalism, meaning that I read in an article that 70% of Americans are overweight and over half are obese. They're just filling a marketplace of representing people that are actually there. This is a cynical form of a product that's being sold to people that ignores the fact that the message they're sending is bad for you.
I think it's being offered to people cynically, but a lot of the people receiving it aren't viewing it in the same light, because I see a lot of people on social media are reacting to this saying like, I feel like I really could have used media like this when I was a child to deal with my own body image problems, and I could have had a good role model in one of these kids animation films
to which I
experienced the same things as me.
But,
and I understand that, but also it's the same narcissistic impulse to feel represented all the time, rather than just identifying with a normal like human story that anyone can relate to.
Plus, if that person grew up and changed the way they look, maybe that movie pacifying them in their youth and telling them that that was okay, they don't change. They don't get healthier. Their body doesn't change.
Maybe this is just a topic that a children's animation film can't address properly, because that's something that really parents and teachers and friends are there for, and not Disney, right?
And let's face it, there will be no version of this short story or movie in which anyone tells her that's not portrayed as a bad guy that she needs to change, because you're beautiful just the way you are. It doesn't matter if your joints ache and you're out of breath every 5 seconds. Also, I want to point out that ballet is one of the most rigorous activities in the entire world.
Of course, like you used to have Black Swan in the 90s, and now you have Reflect, which is I feel like something like Black Swan was trying to put forth the exact same message, but by showing the negative reinforcement part of it rather than the positive reinforcement. Do you know what I mean? And then that's, I feel, more effective for audiences to understand the gravity of the pressure in athleticism, or like the pressure of body image problems.
What if they use the story
to see where the worst case scenario goes? But that's for adult entertainment, not for children.
Then let me retool the what I would imagine the script would be to what I think would actually work, which is she starts ballet, heavier set, and she learns that she loves ballet as much as she does. And that convinces her to change the way she looks, because it simply prevents her from doing what she loves as effectively or as gifted as well as she could, right? If she loses weight, she's lighter on her feet. She has the ability to move around more freely. She can become better at the things she loves to do. And changing the way she looks becomes a byproduct. They don't make it out to me that that's the main story, but that in doing something that she loves to do, that's a physical activity, she gets healthy.
Yeah.
But they won't do that.
One of the criticisms that I lean toward agreeing with is that they are rather hypocritical in offering the first plus-size protagonist and making that the central part of who they are and what their story is.
And that's why it's cynical.
Really, I thought what representation was about was assimilating characters with certain physical attributes with the rest of Disney princesses or
to regular stories.
Yeah, regular stories.
But
where they can experience the same things everyone else does.
Yeah.
And the common complaint in the past has been you're only making plus size characters as side characters, comic relief, or villains.
Mm-hmm.
And that's definitely fair to point out, but the solution isn't making a protagonist heroine who is plus size and then completely reducing her down to her weight.
Mm-hmm.
That's more fat phobic than anything. And also the moral of the story, which is highly reductive anyway, the moral of the story seems fat phobic too, because the moral is that you can only find value inside yourself, your inner beauty, and not how you look. Yep. Even though so much of dance, or if not all of it, is about how it looks to other people, making extremely difficult, rigorous things look effortless and beautiful and smooth. It's all about appearances.
Yeah, I can't think of like a way to do this story that has a satisfying end.
Not for children. I don't think that this is an issue that should be addressed in children's entertainment.
No, not at all. There's something to be said, or maybe it could be done, but it would have to be done in a way that felt more natural. And doing it with ballet, which is inherently contradictory to what they're doing. And there was people in the comments saying that they were in dance, they were in ballet, and they were heavier set. And so they're asking that question, right? But did they change? Did those people change when they got older? Did they lose that weight because they did something they loved that was physical activity? And there's only one narrative you're allowed to tell. And that narrative is that it's okay to look that way. And it's okay for you to be happy with who you are, no matter how you look. It's not okay to allow yourself to become so much of something that you're unhealthy. I don't think that's okay.
Yeah, I don't even know if...
Or I shouldn't say not okay. You do whatever you want. But I'm saying that it's not a message that we as a society should be putting forth for other people to take as good.
The problem with this isn't that children are going to watch it and think, it's okay that I'm fat, or it's a great thing. It's something I should celebrate. Yeah. I don't think that children are going to walk away from it because children aren't able to lie to themselves as well as adults can. They don't have the rational capabilities to lie to themselves with the complexity that adults do.
None of the
problem here is that parents are going to show a film like this to their children, expecting it to instill a certain moral value, and it doesn't work. And the child ends up feeling even more confused and dejected because children just intuitively know when they're being lied to.
And let's face it.
And children also are some of the most ruthless people. Like, they will point out the truth no matter what because they don't understand the social implications of doing so. And children are mean to each other about how they look.
Yep.
They'll learn that the hard way in the real world, whether or not Disney shows them.
Yeah, it becomes kind of a misnomer that people learn things from these movies. That becomes a rationalization for people growing up.
Good
as
or
older.
bad.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't need to even address an issue like this in a kid's film. They're not interested in this. Parents are interested in this. Woke Disney adults are interested in short films like this, not children.
And this is what I mean when I say that there's only one outcome allowed for this, because Taylor Swift has a new single out called Antihero, in which there's exactly like
which you said was catchy.
Unfortunately, yes, the song is quite catchy. And I do want to point out that Taylor Swift, when she looks evil, is the most natural looking Taylor Swift there is. And have you seen those memes it's like every time it's a woman doing something and the guy goes, whoa, and it says new kink unlocked? Evil Taylor Swift, I'm here for it. But in this video, she's basically addressing a lot of her own internal fears and misgivings about herself. And one of them, she steps on a scale and the scale goes all the way up to the word fat rather than listing a weight. And she literally caved and censored herself and pulled it off all of the videos and edited
not all the videos. To be clear, it was on the Apple Music version of her music video.
It's off the YouTube one.
Really?
Yeah, I watched it this morning. It's off the YouTube one. It cuts to the scene of her.
So since they published this update,
it's off.
They also removed it from YouTube. Yep. Okay, so they scrubbed it from Apple Music first, left it on YouTube, and then removed it from YouTube. They're trying to remove the evidence instead of addressing it publicly. I mean, in the first place, you don't even need to address this publicly because it's a nothing burger controversy that was only brought up by a very small faction of like body positivity activists.
But they're a big deal, and that's a problem because they get a lot of leeway. First of all, they're allowed to harass anyone they want, and they can say everything they want. And they have the moral high. They believe that they have the moral high ground, and these companies cave and they fold like accordions and give in. And we have to deal with the fact that nobody can have any freedom of expression anymore. Realistically, she was explaining something extremely personal to herself that she's always felt, like judged about her looks and stuff like that. And her insecurities aren't allowed because their insecurities need to be valorized and validated.
Look, I don't want to defend Taylor Swift here either because I think she is the evil version of herself that was following her around the entire music video.
I love the evil version of herself. She should just embrace it.
People loved the Reputation era because she leaned into that snake image after Kanye West, referenced her in a disparaging way in Famous. And she leaned into that evil image that people had of her, and that was cool. That was a cool concept. But now she's trying to redeem herself, and she had this documentary that she released in 2020, and I can't believe I watched it. I was sort of interested in watching solipsistic, celebrity, self-made, autobiographical documentaries back then. And there were a lot coming out at the time, so I watched that one. And one of the things that one of the topics that they delved into there was her body image crisis that she went through. So she revealed that since the very early stages of her career, she would starve herself to keep slim. And there were, obviously being in the spotlight all the time, there were pressures to look a certain way. And especially in the 2000s, which is when she became famous at first, I know that would have been far more pressure than there is today when we have like a Lizzo who's being propped up as what's beautiful. So she talked about that in her documentary, and I still got the feeling that it's just disingenuous because she is literally the Barbie image of like the ideal tall, thin, blonde pop star girl, and that's a great thing to be. And she still finds a way to like have plausible deniability. I don't really think I'm all that. Like, you do though, and that's fine if you did. She just wants something to complain about. And another part of that documentary was about like how she got political, and that was the start of the end for her.
Yep.
And then this music video where she steps on the scale and it says the word fat on it. It's like Degrassi levels of emotional depth being displayed by a woman in her 30s, but somehow below Degrassi levels. Yeah. Like
almost like the higher production value makes it look more fake somehow.
Well, she's always had a high production value.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, it's like, how can you have millions of dollars production value for like $5 thoughts?
Right, exactly.
I also want to point out there's a dancer on TikTok and Instagram that I follow named Enola Better, and she does a lot of updates to her about her health, and she's she never talked about it before, but she does her fitness updates and stuff like that. And she pointed out recently that she takes her physical fitness very seriously because she has a medical condition that forces her to have to stay in good shape, and that's not valued anymore. You're like, she has to because she's a dancer. Mm-hmm. Like this girl in this wants to be a dancer. The reality of the world is that if you had a medical condition or you wanted to be in a profession as rigorous as dance, you have to take care of yourself. You don't get to just accept that you look a certain way and be okay with that. As a society, we fall apart if we don't strive to improve.
Well, we're expected to watch a movie or a TV show where there's a fat protagonist, and it's supposed to be like, well, they just they look like that for no reason. Yep. There's no apparent reason why this person is obese. They are just naturally like that. That's not something that occurs naturally, and that's why it always is going to feel so shoehorned into entertainment. That is something that, of course, a board room or a writer's room sat around talking about the social impact it would have. There's so much talk about how to influence children these days, except for from parents.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually very sinister.
I'd like to hear about, they always talk about a diverse writer's room and a diverse group of people. Was there like a fitness guru in this writer's room who's like, maybe we could add some stuff about how it's good for you to stay in shape and to get healthy again. It's good for your image and your body. It's like, no, you're being fat phobic.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to have that opinion here because they don't actually want diverse opinions. They want to valorize stuff that's unhealthy. They want to push agendas that are going to be hurtful towards children.
I don't even think that it's necessary for Disney to make a project out of promoting fitness or health or weight loss to children anyway. I don't think it's any of their business. They're for entertainment, not PSAs.
Yep.
And I remember that even in the 2000s when I was growing up watching Disney Channel, they had PSAs like that and campaigns dedicated to talking about not just fitness, but also climate change and at first it was called global warming, but eventually climate change.
At least they didn't blame her weight on climate change. That's good. We got that going for us.
They even made a campaign talking about type 1 diabetes because Nick Jonas had it. Yep. There were just so many bizarre things that they shoehorned into my entertainment when I was growing up with Disney. And it's only getting worse because they keep shifting the goalposts. Yep. So now I'm not going to turn on Disney Channel and see PSA about, eating my vegetables. I'm going to turn on Disney Plus, or no, I'm actually 4 years old and my parent is turning on Disney Plus unsupervised, and then I'm going to see Reflect.
And they're going to tell you that it's okay to eat ice cream for dinner because it's who you are.
Like, I just don't think that this is the matter to be addressed on Disney Plus.
No.
It doesn't matter what message they're trying to send with it, whether they show the ballerina trying to get healthy or not. I just don't care. It was never that deep to anyone outside of the writer's room.
Is this a product of marketing to women?
To adult women, yes.
The idea is that like men are aspirational with things like this, and they want to sell. The point is always superheroes, right? Women see beautiful women superheroes and say those are unrealistic body expectations. Men see adult men superheroes with 16 packs and muscles where muscles don't go, and they go, I need to hit the gym.
Epic.
That's freaking awesome. I want a freaking hammer. Like that's there's a difference in the way you consume media, and because men have to be men are encouraged to constantly be bettering themselves. Women for the last 20 or 30 years have been told you're fine just the way you are. Who cares what you offer? Who cares what you have to offer? If a guy doesn't accept you just the way you are, he's a sexist, or he's scared of you, he's intimidated by you, and if he has any expectations of you outside of just taking you for what you are, he's a bad person. Men are not told that.
Well, it's obviously very convenient that we have Taylor Swift, of all people, forwarding that message to people.
You're fine just the way you are, tall, blonde,
she
gorgeous
is a
woman.
mega rich, mega famous, tall, blonde, gorgeous pop star.
Yeah.
And she is telling everyone else that they're just fine the way they are. I'm sorry, but it's none of your business, Taylor Swift. And, I have noticed a disturbing trend with media consumption where adult women are encouraged to identify with characters that are young girls, children.
Because this
is what's going on.
Yeah,
they are marketing this character, Bianca, to adult women who want to rewrite their past and mythologize their childhood, that's them. They want to identify with a child character. Children couldn't care less about Bianca.
Think so?
Yeah, like children want to see Encanto.
Yeah.
I don't think they care about these short films. These short films are pompous Disney animation teams talking about, how they're changing the world.
Yeah.
And they're just not nearly as influential as they think they are.
I mean, I think they are influential. I think, I just think.
Do you think Reflect is actually
kids, no.
relevant to
No,
anyone
no.
except for like awfuls?
I don't. I don't think that they're impactful. I think that they reinforce the beliefs that a lot of Western women already have, and they're constantly validated to have those feelings with media that tells them they're right. And that's what stuff like this does. Well, a lot of people see this being an animated short. I don't know. But I know that this media is never going to stop
People are
coming.
already tweeting, like, calling for this to be made into a full-length movie. And I love characters like this. I feel so represented.
Then when they make the DVD
this is
one,
so necessary.
when they have the extended cut, they can call it the plus-size edition.
I love how they always say this is so necessary. Like,
Yeah.
as if any entertainment is necessary.
Yeah.
It just
I
shows
wish I
what
had
they're
had
looking
this.
to it for.
Like, I wish I had had this when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there are no actual kids who are asking for this.
Yeah. So
Let's go to super chats.
No, but
I
at the same
guess.
time, I guess we still have for the male characters, they don't get to, like, somebody in the chat mentioned Fat Thor in Avengers, like, but that was played as like a joke, right? And he has to change.
Well, even muscular fit Thor was played as a joke in Thor: Love and Thunder. I don't really know. It's a lot different the way that men are portrayed in their body image.
Well, and here's the thing: he had to get back in shape in Thor, and they would never ever ask a woman character to do that. She would just stay the way she is. Because, Queen, you are beautiful just the way you are.
And sometimes that means casting a woman who is already extremely fit and muscular, and therefore it looks like no change needed to be made.
Yeah. It is, the Taylor Swift part to me is the most interesting because it feels like she's not, like, her evolve. I guess she's not being censored. She probably changed it just because of outrage.
It's self-censorship.
It's
I don't even know to what degree Taylor Swift is involved in making this decision anyway.
But if I'm to take her at her word, and she writes these songs herself, and they what she creates is a piece of her, and it's important to her, despite the high production value and the seemingly impersonal nature of it, the way I perceive it, which is to be impersonal, and it feels like a package, like a product that's packaged and sold to hundreds of millions of people, fine. But if I'm to take her at her word and believe that this is important to her, and she's sharing this piece of her soul, how much of a piece of your soul could it actually mean if you removed it on the basis of a couple of nut jobs on Twitter telling you that it was fat phobic? I don't buy that.
Let me read out some tweets from those nut jobs.
Do it.
It is possible to appreciate Taylor Swift as an artist and call her out on her blatant fat phobia. Taylor Swift should have done better because even if it is relatable and an intrusive thought, it is damaging and fat phobic. Listen to fat people when they tell you it is. Here's another one. I feel like the fact that every single person defending Taylor Swift is white and thin themselves kind of reinforces the point. LOL.
I'm not thin. I'm defending her.
They said just the thin girls who feel fat sometimes are now experts. I mean, Taylor Swift has only ever claimed to be an expert on Taylor Swift. That's what her career is.
And talk about, like, dismissing someone's lived experience. Holy crap.
Well, that's what it's all about, right?
Like, it's only
all about
important
me.
when it's my lived experience, but your lived experience doesn't matter.
But these are just two, like, warring factions that have the exact same value system. Taylor Swift's value system is Taylor Swift and having a martyr complex because you're Taylor Swift. And then theirs is, Taylor Swift is victimizing me personally.
All that stuff just makes it so scary to me to think, like, you have to live in a world now where you do have to have, like, I feel like in 2 generations, we will either be the world's, America will either have the world's most emotionally fragile people, or we will have the strongest emotional people, because eventually you will have to learn to just put up with it. That you're going to get somebody calling you names on the internet, no matter what. Like, as you're sharing very personal experiences, granted this was artistically driven and done by a corporation with a bunch of people involved, but sharing your most intimate fears and insecurities online will then be will be taken out to the woodshed by somebody online because it runs headlong into their worldview. And you'll have to really become the ability to be strong-willed in your need to put forth what you believe, right? Because if you change something every time somebody chipped in and said that you offended them, like Taylor Swift is doing, the next generation can't afford to do that because there will be somebody insulted about everything. The next Taylor Swift won't be able to.
I don't think that that's the inevitable result. I think the result is going to be that a obesity and other forms of just like mediocrity that we've accepted in society are going to be so normal that no one will even have the inkling to point it out or to comment on it, insult people for it. It will be so common that it's just accepted as the new baseline.
It's depressing.
Yeah.
It is depressing.
Here's another tweet. The worst part of all the Taylor Swift discourse for me is that her and her team have absolutely seen the viral tweets calling out her music video for fat phobia. She's very online and engaged in fan circles. Her team is constantly taking down leaks, and she hasn't said anything. I hate when there's a controversy going on and the person takes like 2 seconds to think about what to say, and that itself is another crime that they've committed.
Yeah, you might have spoke, but you didn't speak soon enough.
You didn't trip over yourself and demean yourself to apologize to us.
Yep.
Which an apology which we will not accept, by the way.
Has there ever been a time in which they've accepted the apology and things just went back to normal? No. Never.
Don't think so.
Not in human history.
Well, maybe Lizzo with the spaz lyric.
That just wasn't big enough. That just wasn't a big enough controversy.
Yeah, I don't know. It kind of felt like it artificially.
Plus, it happened to Beyonce.
Overnight.
It happened to Beyonce like right at the same time.
Yeah.
So 2
untouchables. Let's go to super chats.
Let's do it.
Dane Font said, "Make hot people great again."
Yeah, make celebrities hot again, I say.
True. And shame celebrities again.
Sarah Shahi was looking thinner and in better shape than she was when she was on Person of Interest. That's what you do.
Get on that Peloton,
she
girlies.
When she just had her like second kid or something like right before they made that movie. She was a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader, so she was in shape.
Anyone can do it.
Anyone can do it.
Waffle Sensei said, "We're still great, and they know it, Dave." We. Center Conservative Mom 98 said, "I took ballet for 7 years. Can confirm that no one was overweight the whole time. If you were, you fell behind. They were not very forgiving."
There was
I can imagine, yeah.
In the show Castle, the medical examiner name is Lainey, and the actress who plays her is well endowed, and she makes a joke about how she there's an episode that involves like a ballerina or like a dancer, and she says, "I always wanted to be a prima ballerina." And then they're all like kind of shocked by this revelation because she's kind of fairly either snarky or stoic most of the time. And they're like, "Well, what happened?" And she's like, "The girls came in. Not a lot of top-heavy ballerinas out there." And he goes, "Well, I think there should be." And they're like, "Yeah, of course you do." Yes, if you can't even be top-heavy and be a ballerina, then you definitely cannot be Bianca in Reflections heavy and be a ballerina. Not really.
People were also complaining about the way they animated her body is like unrealistic to how fat people actually look.
Oh, because it's like actually just around, like it's exaggerated.
She looks, way too exaggerated round, but like that's literally what animation does, is it exaggerates things.
Do you think that they feel the same? Like when we make our complaints about movies and television shows and tell them what they need to be doing to make things, do you think they think the same things we do when we hear complaints like that, which is like, it'll never be enough? No matter what you do, you will never make them happy.
Well, when we're complaining about things like that, it's about the stories, the plot line, the character development, the sets, like what is actually integral to a TV show or movie, rather than the peripheral elements that are identity.
Yeah.
That's essentially what they're concerned with, and the only thing that they address.
Just stay
and if
away.
if the set's lacking, if the character development's lacking, if the casting is poorly done, if the scripts are terrible, they don't care as long as their check boxes are met.
Yep.
They don't care about how much money it makes. It's only about being catered to.
I wonder if there's just like really good accounting. They just know how to write everything off that fails. So like there's no
strategic.
Stakes. Yeah, there's no stakes anymore.
Colt said Kung Fu Panda was the first plus-size hero in an animated movie that did awesome kung fu. Made my 9-year-old water balloon body self get into somewhat shape through karate and other sports.
See, then
Aww.
then maybe the idea here is that they could have made this movie about her. Don't address it. Just make it about her being a ballerina and wanting to be a great ballerina and having that help with her image issues. Don't address it. Don't say it explicitly, but say that she doesn't feel very sure about herself. But when she does ballet and she feels like she's doing well, it makes her feel good about herself.
The difference between this and Poe the panda is if it's an anthropomorphized character, you can get away with a lot more. Pushing the boundaries because they don't actually live in a real society. And he was also male, so we already addressed that. You can't address, male body image in the same way. I think they actively did make jokes at the expense of his size in the movie, but it was considered funny because he was a male character.
Yep.
Murph Tries DIY said, I literally have an ad for a weight loss video under the show notes. Gotta love the algorithm.
Thank you, algorithm. You've restored my faith in humanity.
You can make all of the Disney animated shorts you want, but doctors will still hate him.
Weight Watchers is still coming for you no matter what.
F off said, sup fools, last day off.
Well, I hope you had...
No, don't go back to work.
Yeah, why would you do that?
Why would you do that?
You could come hang out with us.
You could just hang out with us all day, every day. Toephone Man said, Markiplier beat Joe Rogan in 2 streaming services for his products. Which products? I don't know about what Markiplier is up to these days.
Joe Rogan's always advertising Alpha Brain. You gotta use Alpha Brain.
Potatoes for Seamus said, is Mary a double agent comrade FBI, Mary? Must know.
We should have put a big picture of J. Edgar Hoover behind you.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how that works. I'm a Russian spy and an FBI agent.
Duh.
Maybe I'm a spy on both sides. I'm on no one's side.
So you work
just
for
an agent of chaos.
Both the SVR and the CIA.
Mm-hmm. Matt said, Fat Thor was showing the depression wallow hole. It went hand in hand with his failure. His physical form and confidence also returned as a pair.
Funny how that works, right? You get in better shape, you feel better about yourself.
Yeah. Well, they also showed like Fat Elvis in the recent biopic of Elvis, and that wasn't called out for fat phobia. Firstly, because it's a male. But like, secondly, because that's just real effing life, and that's what happens when your health and your mental state is deteriorating. It shows on the outside when you're broken on the inside in a lot of different ways, and that's sometimes one of them.
Where is the line between accepting who you are, but wanting to make improvements, and promoting something that's actually unhealthy?
I think there's a difference between narcissistic shame, which is just all about me, and projecting certain judgments that other people aren't making on you. Because really, people aren't all that concerned with you at the end of the day. No. And there's a difference between that complex and just a mindset that there's always something you can improve. Kind of like Patrick Bateman said, you can always be thinner, look better.
Yes.
I think more people would... benefit from telling themselves that once in a while.
Maybe the idea that, like, because everyone's on social media and everybody who, when you post something to the world, has their own comment section now, is what leads to a lot of the narcissism, to think that everyone cares about you because 10 people comment about something that you made.
And they can like your comment.
Yeah. Like, it feels like maybe that's where a lot of the narcissism comes from, that there's literally a reaction section for everything you do in the world.
Yeah.
Where in the real world, people don't tend to react that way. Mm-hmm. Though yesterday, I would like to point out that I went downstairs. Have you ever had one of those things where it's like, it was almost too hilarious of an interaction where, like, I go downstairs and, like, I interject into a conversation. I say something. People actually find it funny, and then I walk out.
What did you say?
They were talking about... Kellen was talking about Ronald Reagan, and he's like, and he shut down this. I'm like, what, the asylums? And then he's like, oh yeah, and everybody, like, in the context of the conversation, everybody laughs, and then I'm like, oh, well, those are still around, they're still on TikTok. People laugh, and then you just ghost out, and it wasn't funny, but it's just like, yeah.
You love fading out of
disappear
out of the darkness and then fading right back in.
There's nobody worse at exiting a conversation or room than me. I just kind of like evaporate slowly.
I mean, you're good at it because you do it so often.
but I
You're
don't.
a practiced expert at the
I'm just like slowly moving
the
towards
Irish
the door.
exit. Yeah.
Slowly moving towards the door.
Just the gif of like Homer Simpson just
yeah,
sinking into the bush.
Yep.
I am said, so is wait.
I don't know how you
This
say
is
that.
difficult to say. Maybe it's because you can't type it
Yes.
in the super chat. So is fat ass now derogatory towards fat asses? Yes.
Yes.
Well, maybe it's more of a compliment now.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's inclusive.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We've got bad news. Apparently, Olivia Cockburn wants to direct a DC movie. She's threatening us once again with more movies that we have to watch.
She thinks no one remembers that her name was Olivia Cockburn.
Olivia,
we know.
So it says, guys, it says Olivia Wilde may direct a movie for the newly formed DC Studios. DC Studios being the new umbrella under which Peter Safran and James Gunn are now running DC Films. By the way, they've rebranded it. It is no longer the DCEU. It is now just the DCU.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, it was never actually
According
called.
to James Gunn?
It was just in
Who
one of
made
the,
that decision?
Also, it was never actually the DCEU. It just got called that early on and then just stuck forever. But they never
Because
actually
it was
referred
like
to
derivative of the multiverse.
the DC Extended Universe. So it says Olivia Wilde is currently in negotiations with Warner Brothers Discovery to direct a movie, according to our trusted and proven sources. They were right about
That's such an inside joke to say like that.
They were right about the Guy Gardner and the Green Lantern thing. So maybe they do have trusted and accurate sources.
They found that after Don't Worry Darling was such an unprecedented box office smash at $83 million, that she deserves another chance at directing.
Yep.
And this time it's going to be adding a new flavor, a new little spice.
Let me guess, it's going to be about woman.
I mean, this is actually not news, I found out, because I looked at an article from back in August 2020 where she was tapped for a Marvel film. And it was, all that was known at the time was that it was female centered.
Yeah.
And
somebody
will
get their powers from an alien tampon.
She hinted that it was about Spider-Woman, but maybe that's been scrapped, and then she's, getting shopped around back to DC. I have no idea what kind of burning pile of dung would come out of Olivia Wilde directing a superhero film, because you just add her toxic feminism in with the social capital that exists in messaging superhero films right now. Add those together and you just get like a train wreck.
So it's, however, despite the negative press around the movie, it's all the press. So if they're going to advertise this movie, that's where all of the attention will come from, because it won't come from her directing abilities.
I mean, her first try at Booksmart, it was reviewed well by critics, but only critics, and it made no money.
Yeah.
It was a flop.
I could see James Gunn wanting to do something like this. I actually could. I don't know if it's the right decision, because I don't think that she would be able to make a movie that would actually be fun. Like I said,
she's such a privileged twat.
Yes.
Like when she was tapped for that Marvel deal, I don't think that that's still in the works.
No.
We haven't heard anything about it since. But when that happened, the justification at the time was she had this amazing directorial debut with Booksmart that everyone loved. And the reality was it didn't make its money back. And pompous, elitist critics happened to like that it had queer representation and it, fit their indie sensibilities. So she was just propelled into Marvel Studios after a complete flop as her first try. And then she was given a whole second chance with Don't Worry Darling. Don't Worry Darling, I haven't watched. I don't know if it's actually good. I will never know because I'm never watching it. But on her second chance, she also sabotages press for it because she knows that it can't succeed on its own merits. And then again, she is propelled into a bigger job.
Feminists and people with privileged identity characteristics always fail upwards. I do like that she was in Richard Jewell. I'm trying to picture her. Like, I would love to see a video of like somebody filming with their phone of her like listening to Clint Eastwood talk about the world. Like, I imagine her just being appalled at his like how he sees.
Well,
the
we
world.
already made up a scenario in our heads where she walks past Florence Pugh's dressing room on the set for Don't Worry, Darling, and here's Florence Pugh listening to a Jordan Peterson video.
Oh my god!
And is just absolutely aghast.
That's my new favorite conspiracy theory: is that Florence Pugh
Pugh's a secret Jordan Peterson stan. It's all but confirmed.
She got a Daily Wire Plus subscription just to listen to new.
We
Jordan
should
Peterson
reach out
content.
to Florence Pugh's reps for comment and update you guys on that.
So
I saw this tweet, by the way, that said Olivia Cockburn was raised by two leftist elitist journalists in an expensive area in DC, attending a tiny boarding school. Cockburn abused her powers as a director, abandoned her children, and couldn't direct a movie. She hates masculine men and middle to lower class people. So, can't confirm all the details there, but I don't think she would be able to make a movie that anyone finds relatable.
Yeah.
Like, even Don't Worry, Darling was, like, sort of, it was disturbing, treacherous walk into her mind where misogyny runs the world and we still live in a patriarchal dystopia.
Well, they don't understand that we live in a matriarchal society or a gynocentric society here in America, and then
we'd be in a better position if we were in a matriarchy than whatever the hell is going on right now.
But guys, it's not all bad news, because we did find out that Henry Cavill as Superman is signed on for at least 3 films, which is Man of Steel 2, that appears to be Man of Steel 2, Justice League 2, and Black Adam 2, one of which, Man of Steel 2, looks like it will be possibly helmed by James Gunn himself. It will be very interesting, in my opinion, to see how that movie fares tonally, given the extremely distinctly different styles of directing that both James Gunn and Zack Snyder possess. I do actually think that if they wanted to make a movie with heart, that James Gunn is somebody that could pull that off, but I don't think his sense of humor is one that really works in the Superman world.
It's not just his sense of humor, but also I think James Gunn went for the Suicide Squad because it was lower stakes than a Man of Steel. Like, if he's not grappling with like doing justice to an A-lister character like Superman, then he has more freedom. He has more creative freedom. And also with humor.
Yep.
Also, take the reins there.
In Peacemaker, like he makes sure like the character of Peacemaker dresses down he makes fun of all of this major superheroes in all the episodes. Like, I don't remember what it was, but he has a really funny burn on Superman. Like, he makes fun of Batman, Superman, and Aquaman. The Aquaman one I always remember because he talks about how Aquaman has sex with fish. And that's like that's his he's like, I heard it, and then he's like, where? It's like on Reddit or something
not
like that.
Not a huge fan of James Gunn's sense of humor, not gonna lie.
Very hit and miss.
I think it's just annoying how I don't mean this as like a personal attack at James Gunn anyway, but like, it's annoying that there's a double standard where he can make all of those messed up jokes about kids, and that, like, him getting fired after that, at the drop of a hat, by the way, was considered cancel culture. But then people who have done far lesser offenses or jokes about other topics that are deemed even more taboo are then they're not given the same redemption arc he has been given.
He was never actually even canceled. I don't believe for a second that Disney actually ended
They overreacted.
No, I don't. I believe they did that. That's what they do now. So they fired him. He immediately goes and makes a DC movie. It's not like DC even waited to hire him after that. But I think that Marvel always planned to bring him back to do Guardians of the Galaxy 3. They just made the performative gesture.
But he also was like, "This is the last one I'm doing. Like, this is the last Guardians of the Galaxy.
He's extremely close with. He's extremely close with the whole cast on that. Like, that's like Dave Bautista, like liberal, annoying politics as he may be. like they're like ride or die people. They're like, if he doesn't do this movie, I'm not doing this. Like, you know,
I feel like those type of bonds in Hollywood are so obnoxious.
Yeah. So
like, especially when it's an A-list actor and an A-list director, a Brad Pitt and a Quentin Tarantino, or like we were saying, a Christian Bale and a David O. Russell. And like, they're just so obnoxious with their loyalty to each other.
I do want to read a couple of these quotes from Henry Cavill, who was on a podcast recently. So he says, I went to Warner Brothers studio in the UK and got back in the suit. It was a very powerful moment for me. I wasn't sure how I would feel, whether it would be something very emotionally connective, because I put the Man of Steel suit back on. I chose that one in particular because of the nostalgia attached to the suit. It was important for me to be standing there and enjoying the moment. That is one of the top moments in my career. It feels great to have the opportunity to wear it again. Every time I hear another celebrity talk about these characters, they talk about them in this way that sounds so fake, as if it's just, you don't believe that they actually cared about the character, or they care about their interpretation of the character, right? Like, we're changing this character for modern times. I'm looking for this character to be an inspiration to one small subsect of people, whereas he just loves the character. He just wants to represent the character. He says, there's such a bright future ahead for the character. I'm so excited to tell a story with an enormously joyful Superman. I like it.
He's a sweet guy.
He is.
But also, I have to openly oppose him getting casted as James Bond.
Yes, that is in the news too. We have that here.
You know, call me bigoted against the British people, but he just, if the motto matters to you, Brett, like you say it does, then the nationality of the person playing Superman also matters.
I wouldn't care. Okay, no, let me rephrase that. No, I'm not going to rephrase that. If a British writer writes for a Superman comic, I don't care that he's British. It's not about the nationality of the person writing the character. It's about instilling the values and talking about what the original message was. The message is widespread. The writer, that doesn't matter to me. As long as he's not talking in a British accent. If he was talking in a British accent, that would be weird.
Pulling in Ana de Armas on the Superman flick.
Yeah. I don't care if the writer is, we would have to then look at the people who wrote the movie. Are the people that wrote the movie American? Like, that's not the point.
I'm just saying, if they're not, then there's no reason that they should care about, keeping the motto and what Superman maybe embodied as, like,
as long as he's
an ubermensch of our nation, right?
As long as he's not being played as British on screen, that doesn't matter to me. Just like I don't care if a straight person plays a gay character, or a gay actor plays a straight character. That doesn't bother me, as long as they're portraying the character they're supposed to portray on screen. But he is saying that he would still like to play Superman or to play James Bond, and Mary's like, no, stop it.
If anything, it's really just about the impression that people carry from watching him in the role of Superman, and they carry that impression over to watching him as James Bond, hypothetically.
Yeah.
Like, you can't really separate him from two characters that are that iconic. That are that huge.
There's some actors
that have their own franchises.
Yeah. I mean,
I wouldn't be able to separate that in my mind just because he's speaking in a different accent.
It's like, a lot of actors have played superheroes for both. Ryan Reynolds played Green Lantern in DC and then went on to play Deadpool. Like, a lot of them don't
know how I feel about that either. I don't like the crossover of, like, Marvel and DC actors and actresses.
Chris Evans played Johnny Storm in Fantastic Four, and then played obviously Captain America.
There should be more of a sense that the studio owns you if it's a superhero film.
Forever?
No, I mean, I don't like. I don't know, something about it seems wrong. Like, crossing over the same. Bring in new people, or bring in old faces that. Like
Hugh Jackman.
They're constantly bringing in, like, big names. Like,
most of them
Bill Murray is one of them. Harrison Ford is one of them.
And so you would bother
Catherine Langford.
It bothers you because of the Truth, Justice, and the American Way one. But a lot of the actors that play superheroes are British. So, I mean, Tom Holland
that's a smaller point for me than just the fact that audience members will not be able to, like,
tell them apart.
Not just tell them apart, but it's like. The feeling you get when you watch Henry Cavill on screen is going to be whatever you saw him as first, right?
Okay.
So if he starts off as Superman and then gets casted as James Bond, and he keeps that role for 10 to 12 years, I don't see people being able to, at least myself, being able to like separate the tone.
Yeah.
Right. And it's also a completely different type of character.
But that's why it doesn't bother me, because they're
like-
not in the same. They're not in the same sphere. But
Yeah, but that's why the tone doesn't feel right. I don't think Henry Cavill could do both excellently.
if the director, the set designer, the script writer, and everybody else involved in that project are doing their job properly, and the actor is able to portray
they
more
rarely
than
are.
And the actor is able to portray a character more than one dimension. As long as you're not Ryan Reynolds and you're just playing Ryan Reynolds in everything that you're in, I don't have a problem with an actor taking on more than one iconic character. But there is a question to be asked, right? Like, there's a lot of great actors out there. Why wouldn't you just cast somebody else? But there's
Hollywood
also
has their favorites right now. I think as actors age, they're going to have a crisis of casting.
There's also the matter of star power. James Bond doesn't need a big name actor. Daniel Craig was not a huge actor. I mean, he was famous, but he was not the level of fame that he is now when he took over the role of James Bond. I guess Pierce Brosnan had already been Remington Steele when he took over for James Bond. But in general, that character name, those characters carry such value that they don't need a big star. But I'm also sick of actors with no public profile using it as their stepping stone to become activists and use the character as a platform. So maybe you should hire actors of a certain caliber so that they don't. The Rock is Black Adam because he does not need to make it about himself because he's already a big deal.
That's a dilemma for sure. Like, I do see in the next decade or two that there's going to be a shortage of easily recognizable A-lister box office hit type of actors, and the new ones that they're going to bring in, other than a Tom Holland or a Timothée Chalamet, I don't see a new class of A-listers rising up right now or getting the chance.
It's because they're all being.
I don't
brought
know
up
if they
on
deserve one, but like.
Well, it's because they're coming up in the age of streaming, where there's less stakes and they're not.
Also, like on the Green Lantern thing.
Oh yeah,
people are saying that Green Lantern should have never been put on streaming to begin with, like pitched as a streaming service.
It does feel
show
like a movie.
or movie at all, because just by the fact that you have to do sets both in space and on Earth, in order to do that well in a way that looks good,
it's going to cost a lot of money.
Yeah,
and 8 episodes of that. Okay,
which are already scripted, which have just been completely scrapped after 3 years.
$200 million for a 2.5-hour movie goes a lot farther than $120 million for 8 one-hour mini movies.
Yeah.
The budget isn't there. So, guys, they canceled the Guy Gardner and Alan Scott Green Lantern that they were going to do, and they are going to do what they should have done a decade ago, which is do the version that. The not the Hal Jordan one. They're going to do the what's his name? John Stewart. I'm sorry, John. I was reading an article about the other John Stewart today. So they're going to do John Stewart, which they should have been doing a decade ago. They should have done that before they even did Hal Jordan in the Ryan Reynolds movie back in like 2011. Mm-hmm. The John Stewart Green Lantern is the main Green Lantern in the DC animated universe and is very, very highly regarded. People love that version of that character. So there was no reason to do Hal Jordan. I'm not a huge... Like, I know a lot of people, there's a lot of fans of the New 52 series, but it just wasn't a Ryan Reynolds character anyways. So I don't know who they're going to cast. There was a rumor at one point that they were going to have David Ramsey portray him because David Ramsey got like the lantern ring in the Arrowverse. He played John Diggle, and I think that they were going to use an alternate version of him to play him in that world, but then they weren't going to put him on TV.
There's a lot of talk about finding masculine black male leads in not just superhero films but like all films right now, because a lot of people think that that's sorely lacking.
Yeah. Who's the guy in that's going to be in Creed 3?
I don't know. But
the guy with Michael B. Jordan, Creed 3, that dude is just absolutely just jacked right now.
Mm-hmm. The conversation right now is kicked off mainly
Jonathan
because
Majors
of Wakanda Forever and the fact that they didn't recast T'Challa after Chadwick Boseman's death.
Yeah.
And it sort of crept into the conversation about Jon Stewart, Green Lantern, because some people are finally like, yes, we deserve black male leads and not just like these sexuality identity things getting amplified way more than basic inclusion.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about it, because I'm not invested in Black Panther or Green Lantern as franchises. But people were also worried that the original, the gay Green Lantern series was going to have woke themes as well. They were afraid that Alan Scott's sexuality was going to be way overemphasized in the plot, that Guy Gardner was going to be this like misogynistic, evil white man who is like patriarchal and oppressive. And people saw, I didn't find these audition videos, but there were audition videos that got leaked for this series for Alan Scott and for Bree Jarda, the character of Bree Jarda. And the dialogue in those was criticized a lot for being very on the nose. There were mentions of like, Bree Jarda is like half alien, half human, and her human skin is black, so she was not like served by people at a restaurant. And then there was like talk of seeing a Confederate flag there. It's just very bizarre and doesn't really fit into a sci-fi like tone anyway.
Because they don't want to do sci-fi. They want to make slice of life stories, but sci-fi is how you influence the public.
Exactly. So there were these audition videos. They're now taken down from Vimeo. I don't know if they're anywhere else on the internet anymore. They got criticized a lot when they were leaked. A lot of people were saying they hope the same actors are kept for the side characters. But I saw a suggestion that they get Glenn, what is his name? The guy who played Hangman in Maverick.
Oh, Glenn, not Miles Teller?
No.
I don't know his name. Miles Teller's...
Wait, no. It's not Miles Teller. It's Glenn something. He played Hangman.
Okay, but Miles Teller's the only one that I remember from, other than the main cast.
Hangman was a good actor, but they want him to play Guy Gardner. Okay. And I just think, oh, of course, you're going to repeat the Hangman character because he's chauvinistic and put him into that role and make him the same chauvinistic jackass character.
Yep.
Like, there's no dimension to it at all.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't have high hopes for it, but I'm glad that they have rethought the direction of this show. And I think the more based Zaslav strikes things out, replaces them for more lucrative ideas.
We're still getting Blue Beetle next year, so we'll see how that goes. There's a lot going on. It'll take a long time for this to get made, I'm guessing, given the sets,
because they have to restart literally everything, and they lost a writer.
What was the story, chat, where Green Arrow and Green Lantern basically back in like the 70s they go across America and deal with social ills? And it's like Green Lantern is like the stoic kind of like it is what it is, and Green Lantern and Green Arrow is like basically the social justice guy. That's the one where Red Arrow where Roy Harper or whatever gets addicted to heroin, and then he basically gets left behind. Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Is that based on older comics?
Yeah, before my time, but that's a very famous run.
The HBO Max description of the original, the scrapped show, said that Green Lantern, this would depict the Earth's first Green Lantern, who, true to the comics, is a gay man. I think that's a really misleading wording because you didn't mention which comics.
Yeah.
The comics that introduced Green Lantern as gay came out in 2011.
Not 1960 or whatever.
Yeah, the 70 years before that when the character was originally created. It's just such a misleading weasel word game they play.
Yeah.
I really hate it.
Yeah. So we'll see where it comes. It'll be interesting. But I'm actually like Zaslav continues to impress me with his ability to just be like, here, bad projects, kick rocks. Get rid of them. They don't need to make the stuff that's not going to make money. But it is extremely interesting to me how long it's taken for them to make Green Lantern work. Green Lantern is one of those characters that feels like it should not take them any effort other than budgetary reasons for
overthinking it because they're looking for ways to insert social messaging. That's all. And the pressure that comes from people with Twitter fingers, like literal Twitter addicts. Here's one snarker on Twitter. The DC series focusing on a gay superhero was scrapped after 3 years of development, and a full season of scripts were written so that it can now focus on a completely different character.
Notice how they didn't mention the race of the character.
They didn't mention that this character is black. Somebody explain to me how this is not what it looks like. Excuse me, what does it look like? Please elaborate on what it looks like.
They're like
Do you think this looks like homophobia?
I'm picturing like they're
Seriously?
in a meeting. They're in a meeting and they're like, and Zaslav's like, and cut this one and make the Hal Jordan one. They're like, whoa, we can't cut it and do the straight white dude. We can cut it and do Jon Stewart, but we cannot cut it and do Hal Jordan.
I mean, it's fine if you cast a straight white dude as long as it's Guy Gardner and he can be the foil that everyone hates.
Yeah,
that's all.
Yep.
Gotta add that caveat. Let's go to super chats.
All right, let's do it.
Hobbit said, as someone who's fat acceptance is just another symptom of our broken culture. We need a cure or a treatment for the culture, not a single symptom.
It's just, I think back to like, there was a couple of videos a couple of years ago that Tim talked about where they removed like the messaging that said like being fat was bad for you. Like doctors were not supposed to be promoting that anymore. It even goes back to, remember when the sugar industry dumped millions upon millions of dollars into like funding of doctors or the FDA so that they would promote fat as the problem and not sugar.
And cereal companies like Kellogg.
Like just holy crap. Like it's so bad.
To emphasize like grains.
Also, I want to point out that the little travel that I've done outside the country, the number one stereotype that people have of Americans is fat.
I mean, it's spreading to the rest of the globe as well. But
they think of Americans as fat and gun happy. And you know what? That's fine.
You know, the gun happy part is true.
You should be, but you know what? Fat, it's just that. Like I remember, like when the first time I went to Europe, they were like shocked that I was.
That's
not
actually
500
kind
pounds.
of rude, though.
Yeah.
Like, what if you walked up to someone while you're traveling Africa and you're like, I can't believe you're not poor.
Yeah.
I can't believe you're not starving to death. That's crazy. Like,
well, that does happen. Like that's like
really the analog would be if an African person traveled to the US and you were like, wow, you're not starving to death?
Yeah.
Like, it actually is very rude. And it shows that Americans are far more tolerant than the rest of the globe.
It's the meme about, it's like, here's how America sees Mexico. And it's like a desert and it's all orange. And like, here's actual Mexico City. And it's like
wow, it's not orange here.
Yeah, and it's
crazy.
It's an actual city with actual people. Like, yeah, that's we do our own judging of other cultures, but we export. We don't import.
We judge in at least a more subtle way than just coming up to someone and saying it out loud.
Wow, Brett, you're not fat.
Yeah. Devoured Eagle said, what? Only Brett and Mary? As a first-time super chatter, long-time watcher, this is an extremely cursed episode.
No, this is
cursed.
This is the second time we've done a Brett and Mary only episode. What were we going to call it? I had a name for it. It was like the hipster and the contrarian. Yes.
Yeah, because really they're one and the same,
yes,
but just expressed differently.
Exactly.
Johnny Derp said, toxic feminism is a redundant term. That is all. Clown emoji.
That is very, very true.
Olivia Wilde is just a little extra poisonous with it, just like Emrat.
My YouTube has lately, like when I get Instagram shorts or whatever, what do they call them? They're called shorts, right?
Reels.
I'm sorry. YouTube shorts.
Yeah.
It's like all Andrew Tate.
Really?
I don't know why.
It's so weird.
It's like getting like a bunch of Andrew Tate stuff. It's him like just like embarrassing a bunch of women on like various podcasts or Fresh and Fit and stuff like that. And it's just And then like you get in those rabbit holes where like you're not even watching it, but it just keeps scrolling by and your brain
You're just
shuts
doom
off.
scrolling Andrew Tate YouTube shorts.
That's awful.
That sounds like hell.
Yep.
Colt said, I was the cause for the total box office of Don't Worry Darling. I thought it would have been a place to find lonely feminists to go on a date to Applebee's, but all the theaters were empty.
So
Hey ladies, want to get a cocktail at Applebee's?
That meme, it's like men stop looking for women at the club, go look for women at Target. They're already there. They're already there beating you out 10-1 and looking for things they don't need.
Well, they're married to like Marines and they're using their paycheck.
No. Oh, what? That's depressing. That's
at Target.
There was a one that I saw the other day. It's like a woman is in the kitchen and all of a sudden the Monday Night Football themed comes on. She goes, it's like when you get the signal that you're going to have 3 hours to go to Target by yourself and not be interrupted. It's the world we live in. See, but I love that because that's just normie behavior. I'm in a world full of like political divisiveness and stupidity. I kind of love the normies who are just here like, I still watch football.
Let's hear more jokes about the old ball and chain.
Yeah. There's a great episode of Chuck where they're actually connected and they're like sitting here and he's like, and they're arguing and there's another guy in the room and he says, I'm trying to get us out of this and the old ball and chain isn't helping. She goes, are you calling me a ball and chain? He goes, and then the camera pans back and there's actually a ball and chain on the ground. He goes, do you see this at my feet? Ball and chain. It's an actual thing.
Caper2X said, PCC Feds, can we hope for a Dave Font perp walk before the end of the show? Or report Wilde as a domestic terrorist? Make mine Marvel.
We're not going to do that to Olivia Wilde.
An Olivia Wilde DC film would be an act of domestic terrorism.
At the very least, it's a personal attack on me. You know, it would be... We'd have to see, but that's the thing. I hate watching stuff. I don't want to go give her money.
I like hate watching stuff, actually. I don't know why.
Well, maybe if we did our own Pirates of the Caribbean episode and sailed the high seas to watch it, but I don't want to give her the money.
Yeah. DD Mega Doo 97 said, "Excuse me, what's her name?" Her name is Olivia Cockburn.
Cockburn.
Say it.
Indian burn.
Hobbit said, someone send Olivia Jordan's new video on marriage.
I don't know
who is Olivia Jordan.
Is Olivia Jordan the same thing as Olivia Wilde?
I only know Olivia Cockburn.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Olivia Jordan Cockburn.
Waffle Sensei said, agree with Mary. Henry doesn't have the same appeal as a Bond is supposed to. Yeah. Henry is too much of a jock. Bond needs to be refined and charismatic. Henry Cavill's also too like wholesome 100 poggers for a Bond role.
I disagree with that. I watched a little bit of The Witcher. Like, you get over the wholesomeness pretty quickly. Thank you guys so much. But and plus, if you saw him as a bad guy in Mission Impossible, I think he could do it. But I do believe that he is too bulky, and he doesn't have that kind of refined look to him. I don't want him to play that role. Put it this way: I do think that Bond should look more normal, and Henry Cavill's actually too built to play that role.
Yeah, he needs to be svelte.
Exactly,
if you will.
But I don't know who you get then. Definitely not Cillian Murphy. I will never endorse that.
I am excited for Oppenheimer, though.
Yes.
I love that the story is like, oops, I made a bomb.
Whoopsie.
I'm such a toxic bitch today. I made a bomb.
Like, oopsie, Adam's such
Only women in Oppenheimer are allowed to do that.
Only women in, like women are like, I am become target, destroyer of bank accounts.
Nathan Settlemeyer said, Stallone and Schwarzenegger aged out and it feels like there isn't a one-to-one replacement. Feels sad that their character type is missing.
Yeah, there is no, like I said,
masculinity is missing.
We watched Samaritan, and I guarantee you we wouldn't have watched that movie if it didn't, like,
no, we would not have watched that movie. We wouldn't have heard of that movie without him.
Superhero
starring in it.
Like I'm trying to think of would I have watched it if Chris Pratt had been I'm sorry, not Chris Pratt, Chris Pine, who seems to be the guy I keep seeing and stuff. I've watched more random Chris Pine movies lately than anything else. Between All the Old Knives and The Contractor, I'm just seeing Chris Pine everywhere.
I don't know why I mix up Matt Damon and Chris Pine in my head.
They're not the same.
They're not the same person. F off said, the more money I make in life, the less I need a relationship. Tatanomics is true. I don't know what that is.
Tateonomics. I'm guessing
Oh,
that, yeah.
Andrew Tate. Wait, I thought that yesterday you were just super chatting about your girl.
Could be.
Elaborate.
Maybe they broke up today.
I'm interested in the dramatic twists and turns of your life. F off.
This other account, the guy who says "stay toxic," I can't get enough
Stay
because
toxic,
it's
Kings.
very clearly it's very clearly a joke. The stuff he's saying because it's so bad that it's like.
But it's making fun of something real.
Like he does this whole one like the other day where he talks about he's like, I always cheat on my girls so that they can understand that I always come back to them because I appreciate them. Stay toxic. Like it's so bad, but it's very clearly like he always wears the same sunglasses. And
Well, whenever my girlfriend dreams about me cheating on her, I go and cheat on her because I want to make her dreams come true. Yep. Stay toxic, Kings.
That guy's awesome. I wonder if we get that guy in the show. That'd be hilarious.
Hobbit said, I'm fat and love guns. I feel called out.
Well, no. See, the thing is that just means that you're well represented in American culture.
That's real representation.
That's real representation, and that's cooler than Hollywood representation anyways.
Bobcat said, I just hope that hat means karaoke bars are safe from Ezra Miller now. We have locked him away. Don't you worry about that. The people of Hawaii and Vermont are safe and sound. You don't have to worry about him breaking in and stealing from your liquor cabinet anymore.
26 years. Minimum sentence.
Same amount as his age. It should be whatever his age is. Center Conservative Mom 98 said, LL, no Daniel Craig. I'm done with Bond.
Look, I love Casino Royale is a very, very good movie. I do think it's too long. I think the third act drags a bit, but visually it's one of my favorite movies that I've ever seen. The way it's shot, the cinematography, the color palette of that movie. Skyfall, again, really, really good. I couldn't stop laughing when somebody pointed out that it's just James Bond Home Alone because they set up traps in the house in the third act and it's just James Bond Home Alone. In the other ones, I have a soft spot for the bad ones. I love Quantum of Solace, even though it objectively makes very little sense, and it's shot not just bad, but actually like actively poorly. It was made during like the 2008 writer's strike, so like there's like no rewrites on the script, and it's really, really rough. And then the cinematography is like ultra shaky cam the whole movie, so it feels like the cinematography begets the actual bad dialogue in the movie. It's like clunky shooting, clunky dialogue. I love it. It was great. Olga Kurylenko. Fantastic movie. Worst bad guy they've ever had, Dominic Green. He's just the most awful, like a horrible villain, but in general, a good movie.
If I start diving into all of the James Bond films, of which there are like how many? It feels like 50.
Yeah.
Should I start with recent or the very first, I mean, Sean Connery stuff?
I love the last two Bonds, but that's just me. Like a lot of people would say to start from the beginning. But
I was also just telling you about this interview Daniel Craig did where he said like there was a question that's like, what can people learn about from their or in their daily lives from the example of James Bond or something like that?
Nothing.
And he was like, absolutely nothing.
What? Patriotism, love of country, the desire to protect the greater good. Nothing? Bite me. God, Daniel Craig is such a loser. He's so annoying. He's annoying, okay? He's a very annoying person.
I didn't know that. F off said, need and want are different. I want, don't need. It filters bad choices. Sup, fools. Thank you, guys. I
did we miss
what?
I think there's some
I don't think we missed any super chats in the middle there.
There's one that says send Olivia Jordan Peterson's new marriage video.
Oh, sorry. Hobbit. Yes. Duh. We didn't realize that's what you meant.
Yeah. Thank you.
Lost in translation there. I haven't been looking at Jordan Peterson's newer content on YouTube.
Sorry, not hot.
I'll check it out. Potatoes for Seamus said, Mary wearing her Clarice Starling outfit early for Halloween. LOL.
You are definitely the Fedcast.
Lucius the Eternal said, Mary, have you reached out to Chrissy Mayer to get on Simpcast? Ave Dominus Nox.
You should.
I mean, I I don't really know what Simcast talks about. Do they just talk about like
general, like a lot of stuff we do in the
like same like pop culture?
Yeah, a lot of those channels are a lot of the same stuff that we talk about. There's
I'll look into it. I think I'm Brittany Venti's on there, right?
I think so.
I think I'm okay. I'm mutuals with her on Twitter, so maybe I'll like message her and ask her what it's all about. F off said, "Where is homeboy Dane?"
Dane is working.
Well, he's not a
today.
regular on Thursday. You should be asking where Shane's at.
Yes, Shane is will hopefully be back.
He's dealing with a family emergency right now, so pray for him.
So he says.
Okay. Don't start more guest beef than we did yesterday. It's getting out of hand.
No guest beef. All right, guys, I've got a fantastic topic for you guys today. This is absolutely fantastic.
It's not exactly fantastic. It's kind of infuriating, actually.
No, it's awesome. This is everything that we don't need in the world. Ready? Okay, so it says, Universal Pictures boss says, I would love to see us do a female Fast and the Furious spinoff. Oh, would you?
From the same studio that brought you box office smash hit rom-com Bros.
From the same studio that understands that people go to the Fast and the Furious movies to see cars, girls shaking butts, and Vin Diesel grumbling the word family 500,000 times in a movie, and endless, and I do mean endless, gear shifting. Like,
I don't think Donna Langley is super connected to the fan base of Fast and Furious.
This is what they need to do.
She's removed from it.
This is what they need to do. They need to take the same women, give them the same character names, put it under the same franchise, and make it a whole movie about how women can't drive.
That would be actually hilarious.
They just back up, oops, and they just bump into a bunch of cars, and they do all the gear shifting, and then they just don't move because they didn't put it in the drive.
Instead of Fast and Furious, it will be called Slow and Confused.
Yes.
That's my life.
It will be, and then they can have...
That would be true representation.
And it's, oh my God, and it's
I
universal.
I want to see myself on screen.
And it's universal, so they can have a crossover with Nicolas Cage in the Gone in 60 Seconds movie from 2000. That had Angelina Jolie with blonde, what do you call them, dreadlocks?
Oh my.
Yes. Oh yeah. So
I don't even want to imagine that.
That movie would...
I think that this idea is actually kind of insulting because it's like, look at this beaten dead horse, deflated franchise that has been going longer than anyone asked for it to go.
This amazing, awesome, completely fun-oriented franchise.
It's fun-oriented, but you cannot deny that it has lost its magic.
No,
in a lot of ways.
I don't have to.
And
a
lot of
that.
people, like the popular sentiment is that after the third movie, it lost its charm for most.
That's BS. This movie didn't start making box office bank until 5 and up. So that is not true.
So it's yes, it's a moneymaker for sure.
But
it's kind of insulting because it's like, here, women, take this thing that's for men, and then when you inevitably disappoint the fan base, we're going to blame it on the fan base, and they're going to hate you.
And what this movie has done very smartly, what this franchise has done very smartly, is not insult the fan base and just make movies that people want.
Weren't we covering some drama on the Fast and Furious set with Vin Diesel and
Justin Lin?
Yeah, Justin Lin.
He's not directing the 10th one anymore.
That was hilarious.
So there was always egos in those movies. Like Vin Diesel had beef with The Rock. It always felt to me.
I love that. Like, who can have beef with The Rock?
Like, it always felt to me like Paul Walker was the one that held it all together. Like, and then when he passed away, that they're kind of fell apart in that respect. And Tyrese Gibson is always kind of been like, they're like, Tyrese is that crazy uncle that shouldn't have social media but does. So it says, this is from this producer. It says, I would love to see a female Fast, Langley said. So would Vin Diesel. He'd have so many great and amazing female characters in our franchise. And now that there's this new edition of Brie Larson... I'm going to repeat that. Now that we've got this new edition of Brie Larson...
Crickets. To add to the incredible roster, I would love to see us do a female Fast. This Donna Langley doesn't sound like a Fast and Furious fan.
Anytime these people do something right, it's on freaking accident. There's no way anyone entertains this idea that has any clue about what actually makes this franchise work. None whatsoever.
I went and looked at the original interview this came from, and I found her comment on the box office failure of Bros. And I just want to read it to give you some context for Donna Langley, and the fact that she's in denial of what actually makes money. Yes. She said, I'm going to start, or the question was, the disappointing box office for Bros, do you feel homophobia had anything to do with it, as Billy Eichner said? She said, I'm going to start by saying that we are extraordinarily proud of this film, and if we had to do it over, we would make the same decision to make the film. We would make the same decision to release it wide. We would do many things the same over again. I think given the quality of the film, the playability of it, the critics' response, I have no doubt that in the post-theatrical world, the film is going to find its audience.
It should have always been it should have never been a theatrical release.
Right.
But
she said that those numbers that we saw in the opening weekend box office where people didn't show up, we somehow missed the mark in terms of enticing people to see the movie in theaters. I don't know exactly why, but what I do know about films that are identity statement films that are for specific audiences, you have to do a really good job of inviting the audience in and making them feel that there's enough universality and relatability.
It's weird because she was able to verbalize what they need to do, but they never do it.
She verbalized exactly what they needed to change about it, but then also in the same breath said that they shouldn't have changed anything about it, and they do the same things the same way all over again. Because it's really not about money for them. It is about exactly what she said, identity statement films. Yeah. Fast and Furious Broads Edition would be an identity statement film.
It'd be awesome if they called it like just Broads Edition.
It also isn't attractive to a female audience because female audiences don't give a crap about Fast and Furious. And also, men don't care about the Broads Edition of Fast and Furious unless they make it hot babes, and I don't know if that's what they're planning on doing.
Instead of like hot girls dancing around cars, it's going to be just buff dudes dancing around cars.
It's going to be like Brie Larson and then like Lizzo cameo. Who else are they going to bring in?
It says, rumors circulated for a few years now that the Fast and Furious franchise getting a spin-off spotlighting its female ensemble. Does anybody remember the girl boss scene in Avengers?
No. What do you mean by that?
The girl boss scene where all the women come together in the most unrealistic way ever to take on Thanos.
In a way that women never come together. In real life behind a common cause.
The real movie would just be them like backstabbing each other and sending mean messages about one another to their friends and then asking their husbands how to drive a stick shift.
Whoa.
Just kidding. It's a joke.
You're really going all out today.
The girls need a spin-off, says series mainstay Ludacris. See, they've made their money now. They don't care if they burn it all to the ground now. None of these people are...
I mean, burning it all to the ground would really be fitting for the end to the Fast and Furious franchise, wouldn't it? Yes. They have to go out with a bang.
Would be
right?
Incredible. So Brewster, who's been with the Fast and the Furious franchise since the original installment, added in the same interview, that would be awesome. I've heard those rumors. I think that would be incredible. Think about all the people we could bring back, right? We could bring back Eva Mendes, who would be incredible to work with. Well, you should bring back Eva Mendes. She's too busy. She with Ryan Gosling?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. But here's the thing. When they make movies about all male casts or what are perceived as all male casts, it works because it's not about the fact that they're men. The fact that they're men is because they're doing things that men naturally do, like drive cars.
And that's not to say that there can't be female-led action movies or female ensembles starring in action movies.
Charlie's Angels worked in the 2000s.
Until they ruined it.
Yeah.
But it can't be in an existing franchise that, at least by my standards, has existed far too long. Yeah. But it's designed for a predominantly male audience.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be a money-making machine franchise. you can't make that into an identity statement.
Nope. And whether they like it, the thing is, though, is when this idea gets pitched, right, they're not thinking of it that way. They're thinking about all the cool ideas that they could implement if they did it this way. They just don't realize it will never be marketed that way. Even if you if you miraculously found a way to make a Fast and the Furious movie with all women, first of all, it'd be weird because people are like, where the hell are the men?
Yeah. Do you think that the new Fast and Furious film featuring all women in the cast is going to fit the Bechdel test? Like, you need men in the film to even make it past the Bechdel test. If it's all women in the film, then
explain to these people
doesn't require any effort.
Explain to people if they're watching in the video what the Bechdel test is. Some people might not know.
The Bechdel test is created to rate films in how they humanize female characters. So they have to have more than one female character talking alone with each other about something other than a man or men for a minimum of what was the amount of minutes? 5 minutes or something. Like 5 minutes.
I do know that the feminist who came up with that idea admitted that was a joke.
I think
that got taken too seriously.
The Fast and Furious movie where they went to space, which one was that?
9.
That actually passed the Bechdel test. I didn't know that, but I just looked into it earlier.
They all would.
So it's like I don't see how this film franchise was lacking in like female representation or strong female characters or what have you when it passes even the most absurd joke level test to rate it on those grounds.
Surge X in the chat says blinker fluid malfunction. Let's go. It's just them getting the oil change.
It's them getting like $600 oil changes.
It's guys
and then calling their husbands and being like, "Are you sure it's supposed to cost that much? I already left."
It's incredible. That's what they can do. It'll be, like it's so beyond parody. And
are you sure that the Bechdel test was a joke?
Yes,
I thought that it actually came out of an academic institution.
The lady who came up with it later admitted that it was I could be misremembering that, but I thought the lady who came up with it later admitted that she said that it was a joke that became serious.
Okay.
So
seems like a bit of a cope or like a cop out from what you said.
So like I imagine that the cast think this would be really, really good, but the cast is full of rich people that aren't connected to the world that we live in now and don't know how to connect to the actual viewers. They take for granted just to, I'm guessing that Jordana Brewster or Michelle Rodriguez, Charlize Theron, who doesn't want to go see Helen Mirren in a car movie? My God. None of these people are looking at the demographic breakdowns of who goes to see these movies.
No.
And they've got their built-in excuse that when men don't go see the movie, that wasn't for you. That they're misogynist.
It almost makes me want them to go through with this pitch just so we can see it crash and burn, no pun intended. It'd
be such a fall from grace.
I would love to see the Fast and Furious franchise like kill itself in real time with this.
Yeah.
And just prove that, you got to put your money where your mouth is.
But there's something so disingenuous about making it an all, just the idea of making it an all women's. Nobody's asking for Mean Guys.
Right. By the way, a movie so honest as Mean Girls about the social dynamics of especially young women. That's so anti-girl power and the traditional
women are actually evil.
Toxic positivity that we get today.
Yeah.
It would just never be made again today.
Women are actually
2004
sociopaths.
Was such a good year for chick flicks, by the way.
No one is asking for Mean Guys. No one is asking for Clueless with men. Mm-hmm. No one is asking for Juno.
Well, you could make Juno.
They could do that now
with a male protagonist. Now
we're gonna skate right past that one.
Yep.
there's no guys are asking to invade women's space for movies.
Right.
Men are just annoyed that women keep are you watching a Marvel movie? Can I come in? Can I watch the Marvel movie with you? Why is that character like that? Why aren't there more women here? Why are they always fighting crime? Shouldn't they be in a drinking milkshakes and eating food together and gossiping? That's what people do.
Yeah. It's also just lame when you have to awkwardly insert a younger female character who is less relevant than their way more famous male counterpart in a Marvel film.
I forgot. They were going to make...
that pits them against each other.
They were going to make a Fight Club, a girls' version of Fight Club.
What?
I don't remember if it was Dove Cameron.
What is it? Where they verbally abuse each other?
I don't remember who the heck was it going to be that was in that movie, but yeah, there was going to be a girls-only version of Fight Club because
That's called
nothing
Gossip
is sacred.
Girl.
Yeah, because nothing is sacred. And
That's so weird. That's such a weird idea anyway.
what's another movie that you loved growing up? Like a girl movie?
Clueless is definitely up there.
Cure
13 going on 30.
There you go. Freaky Friday with
Freaky Friday for sure.
Freaky Friday with guys.
Yeah.
No one wants that because dudes don't want to. They're like
they don't want Pretty in Pink for guys.
They're like, you want to be over here in your space? Fine, go over there in your space. Girls don't want to be.
Well, people would argue like there aren't men trying to invade women's spaces because women's spaces are marginalized.
They are. It's their bathrooms.
Uncomfortable. Yeah, definitely.
It's their bathrooms and their sports teams.
The only women's spaces that men are encroaching upon are not in Hollywood. They're in gym bathrooms.
In the real life.
Aside from that,
I'm trying to some more movies. Like I'm trying to think of more movies that would have been more female oriented. Chat, help me out with it. Somebody in the chat, some probably has some better examples.
I mean, no one is talking about starting a Disney Prince franchise.
Oh my God! When are we going to get that? When are we going to get the Disney Prince franchises? Because that would actually make a lot of money.
Would it though?
Short Bus.
Are people interested in that?
Short Bus Bully says, didn't they do Freaky Friday with dudes? Did they? Did they?
Don't think so. I only know there was the original and then Lindsay Lohan and what was her name?
It was
Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan remake, and then there was another remake that was also a girl.
The Craft, awesome all-girl cast with a movie with Buffy. Nobody wants a guy. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I don't want a guy. I don't want to buff the Vampire Slayer movie. Buffy, yeah. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. Don't touch it. So
I love how in like female-oriented shows and movies, by the way, the male characters are literally just accessories to the story. Like they are not people, and it's awesome. Yep. And the same thing can be said for male-oriented films and shows that are for men to watch. The women don't have to be the sole focus.
Yeah.
Like that should be fine, right?
Well, the thing, like nobody, like it's almost like when people say inclusive, that means like literally everything is like. Sometimes you're just telling a story.
You have a constraint of time, right?
Yeah, like everybody has their own story.
Yeah.
And oh no, you didn't include more of this group. You didn't include more women. You didn't include more of this. That's not the story I'm telling here. Go tell your own story or give me ideas and maybe the next story I tell will involve that. See, now we're going to get Clueless for Men. It's going to be hilarious because it's going to be just like Clueless.
Is it going to be from like Josh's perspective or something?
No, they'll just change it to guys. And
that would be terrible.
It would be Cher would be just a guy.
Didn't they make a TV show about Clueless?
Yes,
where
they
recasted Cher, but not.
Yeah, Dion was still in it. Well, that's because what's her name is super based, so she was probably only getting TV work by that time. What's her name? Stacey Dash.
We need her on the show. That would be fun.
Oh my God.
Stacey Dash.
I'm totally
Culture Crisis. Manifest it. It's gonna happen.
I'm gonna shoot my shot after this. I'm gonna send her a message on Instagram. Be like, host a podcast. I want to come on and like we can talk about Donald Trump.
I'll DM her too, and then she'll be like, "Who are these people?"
We can talk about Donald Trump if you want. Like,
we can talk about anything.
Dude, she got so like red pilled. She voted for Romney. Like,
guys, when Brett says that, he doesn't mean that he's pro Romney.
No, what I'm saying is that she went so far the other way that she went from voting for Obama to voting for Romney, which means she probably would have been fine with Mike Pence. Somebody says Fight Club would be Slap Club.
I'll scratch your eyes out.
Nobody wants Rocky with women. Like nobody wants a female boxing movie.
No. I mean, think about why the Karate Kid movie that starred Hilary Swank was such a flop. No one wanted to see that.
Oh,
because you don't even remember that it existed. Exactly, Brett.
It was like my
that
brain
just shows that like that didn't register in anyone's consciousness because it was lame.
Girl Rambo, Wambo.
So dumb.
Girl Rambo movie. She's like trying to pick up the gun. It's like it's heavy. I mean,
Would there be like a Twilight film, but with a male protagonist?
Could do that.
Actually, you know what? That's what Stephanie Meyer's newest book in the franchise was about. It was like writing the first novel, but from Edward's perspective. And he's literally just like a Sigma male with autism, counting the number of leaves on every tree. It's actually kind of funny. I've been meaning to pick that up and read some of it.
Also, I want to point out, like, they're never going to change it. Like, the women are always going to be the scream queens. There's never going to be scream kings of some guy who gets
Scream kings.
Like,
Ew.
You're never going to get like a guy who ends up being like the lead, the guy who survives all the horror movies.
I've been meaning to rewatch Scream Queens.
I never saw the show. I just said scream queens, and like that's what they call women who are in the horror movie genre.
Oh, okay. It was a good show though.
But I didn't watch that.
Had Emma Roberts in it.
All right, let's go to super chats.
Matt said, "We are character limited. Got to get over punctuation issues and focus on context. $2 is $50, $5 is $150, $10 is $200, etc. Every comma can bump you into a new tax bracket."
Well,
true.
However character limited you are, you're not as character limited as I am, because I spelled like 5,000 words wrong in the last few. Guys,
Brett was absolutely losing his mind earlier today. I think he was about to get violent with me. I was actually scared.
Hey.
He was like, "Stop laughing."
I had two thumbnails that I screwed up in 2 days, and then like
he had to shame himself for it on his own Instagram story.
I'm going to maintain that Harvey Weinstein is just Harvey Weinstein's cousin from Montauk.
Harvey Steinwein is his anonymous pen name for his tell-all memoir.
Yes.
I would love to read a tell-all memoir by Harvey Weinstein, by the way. I don't care if it's ghost-written. Caber2X said, "Lydia had been to Simcast Mary, a bit raunchy." Yeah, I would expect they talk about more like dating cultures type of stuff, and like
you could offer
internet culture, not as much the things we talk about, and they get a little more politically incorrect, I guess.
I mean, I feel like you could have a useful, like a very interesting perspective to offer there. I think that would be very cool.
Yeah, I'll look into it.
Oh, hell no. We're talking about men invading women's spaces. I'll just go on Simpcast.
Yeah. Do they invite men on?
I have no idea.
I don't know how they do things. Matt said, "Should be Amber Heard in Fast and Furious. Remember, drive angry."
Baby Driver with, yeah, like maybe that's Amber Heard.
Been a while since I've seen Ansel Elgort.
Well, he was in
Ansel Yogurt.
He was in a very good. Well, okay, you'll probably think it's really boring. There's a show called Tokyo Vice, which is based on a book about it.
I've heard that a lot of people thought it was boring, though.
It was I liked it, but it was boring.
Did you review that on?
No, I wanted to, but no.
I just remember like listening to one of the very, very early episodes where you were talking about Tokyo Vice.
Yeah, it was one of those things where I definitely took a couple tries to get through, because like it just drags. But
I can't give things so many chances like that. I'm not gonna watch the next episode of The Peripheral.
But I was just very happy because it was very like not. Because it wasn't taking place in America, like you don't get a lot of the American cultural politics.
And even if it has the politics of their
racist
culture
against him.
Yeah, like if it has themes that would be like way too heavy-handed in their culture, we wouldn't even have the context to realize it. Yeah. So you can be blissfully ignorant.
Well, they're very, very like judgmental of him as an American, as as they would be.
Yeah. Marv Mann said, "Get people from world-class bullshitters." Yep. Can't say the real word. They cover Star Wars a lot and cover merchandise.
Merch is one of those ones that I liked merch when they were talking about.
They talk about Funko Pops?
Well, no, they would there was in the glory early days of like anti-SJW YouTube, and they're like, look at all the crappy Star Wars toys that no one's buying. Nobody likes Rose Tico, and that was a thing. Oh. But world class.
Well, now they're making bank off of Grogu.
Well, world class bullshitters and Midnight's Edge do unbelievably well researched videos into all these topics that my brain is just too non-linear I would never be able to make videos like that. I just talk in circles.
You're neuroatypical. That's what they say now. That's the politically correct term for it.
Oh, I'm neurodivergent. Sorry.
Center Conservative Mom 98 said, Girl Boss Fight Club could be about the women they get the soap fat from, or the women who buy the soap, or Jared Leto's cult, since he was in the movie. I would love to see a movie about Jared Leto's cult.
Let's go.
That's not Midsummer, just redone. St. Miles said, female Hannibal Lecter. Wait, it's called The View.
Ugh.
Ha ha.
That is, you know what? Female Hannibal Lecter would be very, very... You'd have to find... That would be a very hard one to cast. Like
that would literally... That's not possible. Women don't do things like that.
Yeah, women... female serial killers are mission-oriented.
They poison people.
Yeah, and male serial killers... Like what is it? Like, only male serial killers do so out of... for sexual gratification.
Something about a female stalker would be interesting, because I know that females are more likely to, like, stalk people than be, like, serial murderers.
Oh, yeah.
It's more believable.
Like, it's just like she just keeps showing up.
Because it's a psychological game. I think that would be...
There was a guy who remade all of What About Bob with, like, dramatic and scary music, and it's so terrifying. Because it's like the character is so much scarier when you hear different music. He just keeps showing up, and you just can't get away from him.
You know, Seinfeld or Friends is scary if you take out the laugh track.
Yeah.
Dragon Stallion 1001 said, is the male remake of Coyote Ugly Magic
Yes!
Mike?
Yes! Let's go!
Coyote Ugly isn't about a stripper.
No, but they're women that dance on bars.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, it's like, and her dad is so judgmental because she works at a bar. It's really funny. Like, I mean, granted, they're like getting like wet t-shirts and stuff in it, but it's like the dad's like, I can't believe you would work at a bar that would objectify women that way. And it's John Goodman. Who admitted that he just did the movie for a paycheck.
That's funny.
Yes. Yeah, now I want to watch Coyote Ugly again. They're making Magic Mike 3. That's in production right now.
Oh. Dragon's Talon 1001 said, Havry Steinwein says there is an opening on his casting couch for you, Brett.
His couching cast.
Are you excited?
Yes, I am. Well, maybe instead of that, he could sign me up for like
It's going to make you a star.
A class to like an English 101 class that I could take so I could spell things properly. The other one was I put Henry Cavill confirms is Superman. Like the problem is like you want to edit your stuff down to be less words, to be more punchy, and then I edited too many words out. And I just blame Mary. Mary should be here double checking.
I should be watching you.
I'm the neurodivergent one here who can't
Usually you are under my supervision. I don't know how I missed Havry.
Rhaegar, he who says anime is clearly satanic, not a super chat, says Stacey Dash was so based, even Fox News banned her.
Really?
Let's go. Well, she did that one where she did like a sarcastic award show thing where she talked with Chris Rock about how. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Amoeba Artstorm said, girl movie H2O would be adorable gender swapped. I loved H2O. I don't think they could gender swap that either. I also loved...
what is H2O?
Wait, I thought that started as a TV show, but it's basically about like teenage girls who turn into mermaids if they get a drop of water on them.
What about Halloween H2O?
Aquamarine had JoJo in it. The disgraced JoJo, not JoJo Siwa.
Oh, no. Did you hear her COVID version of Leave, Get Out?
It wasn't the COVID version. It came out in 2018. No, I was just listening to it last night, actually.
No, she did one about... She did like a COVID version.
Why would you remake it again?
Or what was her other one? Leave, Get Out, and Too Little Too Late. One of them.
She remade both of them in 2018 because she couldn't get the original versions on Spotify, but now both are on Spotify.
Yeah, but once she did in 2020, she did a song that was like about putting your mask on or something.
What? She did a newer song that was called like Joanna.
Yeah.
And I actually thought that was good. She's still a great singer. Well, don't play it. We're gonna get copywritten.
I'm just looking to see if I'm imagining stuff. It's called Chill Stay In.
I hate that.
Isn't that awful? Well, which means we can play it. It's that awful. Let's play it.
Are you sure we won't get copywritten though?
Well, it's not even the real song.
Okay. I hate this already. This is the worst COVID propaganda.
Out of all the COVID propaganda, this might be the worst.
Hold on to my pillow tight and wonder why you still going outside.
No.
Could be such a nasty bitch. But now that she's here, boy, all I want is for you to use common sense. Stay in right now. Do it for humanity.
Ew, no, turn this off right now. I can't take any more. I cannot.
I'm sorry, guys.
Oh, that was painful.
Oh, that was bad.
I hate that.
Oh, I didn't even switch the camera. So they
Do
weren't
it
even
for
able to see it.
humanity.
Yeah.
She really is ruining the song
Here's
for me.
That's what it looked like in the video, guys. I want them to see at least a little bit of it.
Ugh.
About that, but we will survive. So you don't learn how to cook now and practice good hygiene. I know you're bored and want to fuck around, but not on me.
Incredible.
That's
Absolutely incredible.
awful. Thanks for ruining my day.
It's just over.
Ew.
Told you that was a real thing.
Ew. Bad App said, I recommend the Surreal Life reboot with Dennis Rodman, Stormy Daniels, it's been a while since I heard that name, and Frankie Muniz, and the dude from The Entanglement.
Isn't that I read an article just recently that says that Frankie Muniz said he saw all too much of Dennis Rodman's penis on the set of The Surreal Life.
And they were like, well,
It's like John
what can you
Barrowman. He's like,
expect?
John Barrowman gets in trouble on set. He's like, I was showing my penis to people on set. I was just trying to lighten the mood. You know, as a guy was wont to do. Well, he's in a room full of a bunch of mixed company. Why not just flash your junk to a bunch of men and women?
Speaking of which, Bad App, I am not going to read that.
Not also they could already do that because we have the mayor of Lightfoot could play that character.
Who?
Lori Lightfoot. They call her Beetlejuice.
Oh, a gender swapped Beetlejuice.
Yes,
played by Lori Lightfoot.
Lori Lightfoot.
Please no. You were just coming up with all the worst ideas today.
All right, guys, we got Podluck. We got we're going to talk a little bit about this Zoe Saldana article that
Just because it was so freaking stupid. Okay, look, the headline says she had a bad experience on the set of Pirates of the Caribbean when she was a younger actress. And these days, the way the media climate is, when you see a headline that says I had a bad experience on set, you immediately think sexual misconduct. Well, really, Zoe Saldana was just getting sensory overload from all the big loud noises.
She's literally a child. I'm going to read this. She says, it was my first exposure to a major Hollywood mega movie where there were so many actors and so many producers, so many crew members, Saldana said. We were shooting in different locations and the environments were not that agreeable sometimes to our shoot days. I was very young and it was a little too big for me and the pace, it was just a little too fast. She was 22. You're a legal adult.
You literally, I watched you do the math because she was born in 1978.
And this, so you would assume that this was filmed.
And this happened in what, 2003?
In 2000, this probably happened in about 2002. So she was in her early 20s. It was too big and scary because I'm a legal adult.
And what I hate about the rest of this article is that she actually expected an apology. So she continued, I walked away not having a really good experience from it overall. I felt like I was lost in the trenches of it a great deal, and I didn't feel like that was okay.
Because it was a little too big for me.
Somehow they failed you?
Yes.
That wasn't okay? What are you talking about that it wasn't
vague.
okay?
Maybe something else happened because it's too freaking vague, dude.
Right.
She's
leaving some important detail out, or she's just the most annoying person alive. So she said, years later, I was able to meet with Jerry Bruckheimer, the producer, who apologized that I had that experience because he really wants everyone to have a good experience on his projects. That really moved me. The fact that he remembered that I had mentioned that during press, I guess, or an engagement I had done years before, and that he felt compelled to bring it up and to take accountability.
I'm going to
accountability because he somehow failed you, right? What did he do wrong?
I am going to reread what he did wrong. We were shooting in different locations and the environments were not that agreeable, sometimes to our shoot days. I was very young, and it was just a little too big for me, and the pace of it was a little too fast. He had to apologize for like, I'm literally picturing a 2-year-old getting sensory overload in public and having it have a diaper changed.
This is literally someone like probably who was older than me on set.
A grown ass woman, a 22-year-old, like, women just want to be treated like children until they're 40.
I mean, even after 40,
she's
I
like,
I just hate the presumption that he had to take accountability for something, like he did something wrong, like he was at fault, and that you deserved an apology. What the hell is wrong with you? And like, are you sick in the head?
Like, and then they wonder why people treat them like children.
These are such, I mean, people in Hollywood are just so socially maladjusted and like just antisocial, unprofessional individuals.
But she's not done. She says, it means so much to feel seen and heard as an artist or even just as a person.
Seen and heard. Well, I'm sure Jerry Bruckheimer is growing and learning and trying to repair for his past mistakes and look for restorative justice.
Do you think she changes her own car tires?
Look at her face. Of course.
Do you think she cooks her own meals?
No. I don't think she knows how to boil water. I keep saying this about Hollywood women. They don't know how to boil water.
Yes.
If you gave them some ramen, you were like, make this ramen. They'd start trying to boil water, and then they would be like, wait, how do I turn on the stove?
It reminds me of that video where the thing of the journalist who's like, I got PTSD from firing an AR-15, and then it cuts to the video of like the little 8-year-old girl shooting an AR-15 with her dad, and she's laughing as she's shooting it. Like, they're children. They are mentally children.
There's so many big noises and lights. Big and
scary, and the lights were bright.
There were so many people walking around.
And I lost my lunch that my mommy packed for me.
Look, Zoe Saldana, in the nicest way possible.
No, in not the nicest way possible.
Investigate whether you could be diagnosed with some kind of sensory disorder. Because this is something that any actor deals with on a film set. Especially at the size of Pirates of the Caribbean.
I went to catering and they didn't cut the crust off of my sandwich, and it was a big problem.
No, this is another thing. The cutting the crust off the sandwich, YouTube just did this. If you guys are looking at YouTube on desktop right now, you will see that they changed the layout of the entire website so that all of the corners of the video thumbnails are rounded. Yeah. I cannot I'm getting sensory overload right now. Like, I hate it so much. Like, we can't deal with the corners, hard edges on the video thumbnails.
I watched a video the other day of a lady who made her own. Like, it's some lady who had like a channel where she makes like unique sandwiches and stuff like that. She made herself like an uncrustable, like a real uncrustable herself. Okay. And then at the end, she cuts the crust off of it and says, because like I just never liked having. I'm like, you're like a middle-aged woman who just spent a bunch of time making a video, making the perfect like homemade uncrustable sandwich, and then you literally cut the actual crust off of it. Like, you know, but
if it's an uncrustable, then where's the crust?
She puts it, but it's a peanut butter and sandwich that she puts in an air fryer, right? Okay. And she makes it. It takes time to make. She does it, and then she cuts the crust off. She's like, I wouldn't want to eat the crust with it, like. A generation of freaking babies.
YouTube actually changed the entire layout so that all of the buttons are round shapes as well. Yep. So like even the subscribe button, which you should tap, by the way, gently, is like a round oval. Like, it's just disgusting. And they also changed the font on Twitter like a year ago to something that was so like, it's the vibe of like changing the color of walls in prison to pink because it reduces aggression. Yeah. You're trying to pacify me by making the thumbnails on YouTube rounded, and I know what you're doing, and I won't let this slide.
I want to point out Shannon Anon in the comments says, it's common with introverts with social anxiety. I don't like large crowds, but that's the way to deal with it. That don't push your problem on everyone. I'm actually a fairly introverted person. Doing this show is like the most I can be social, or like it's not even social. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, but it's
talkative?
it's part of my job. Like, I understand that it's part of my job. And as much as being on here and putting myself out there to you guys is uncomfortable for me, I understand that it's part of my job and I love my job. And I accept that there's certain elements to it that are less agreeable with me than others. It would be like me going to Tim and being like, you made me go on air and do a show and talk in front of people. And that's literally part of your job. Like, it's insane. You're an adult, dude. Deal with it. Nobody owes me an apology for taking a job.
The money guns are so loud.
The money guns are so loud. And every time it goes off, I get a PTSD flashback of the last time they went off. It's just, they're children. They're all children. They're mentally children.
Yeah.
All right. Now that we've done with that, like we read that and we're just like, no way, dude. No way. So Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever just had its world premiere. Mary's like, I thought it doesn't come out.
It's not a world premiere if only certain people are allowed to
famous
watch
person
it.
premiere. I'm sure Zoe Saldana.
It's not even famous people. By the way, we need to show this just god awful TikTok that someone working at Entertainment Weekly posted.
Here we go.
This is what it's like going to the Black Panther Wakanda Forever world premiere. After checking in, I got to walk the carpet. There were actually 2 carpets, one for the stars of the movie and one for us guests. There were plenty of photo ops, life-size Legos, costumes from the movie, and cosplayers. They actually rented out 3 theaters to fit everyone in the screening, but I saw it in the Dolby Theater on Hollywood Boulevard. When you get inside, they take your phone and lock it in a little bag. You get to keep it, but it's basically useless for the 4 hours that you're in the theater. Overall, I really liked the movie, though it was sadder than I expected. It's definitely weird knowing who lives and who dies before the rest of the world. This is what it's like going to the Black Panther Wakanda.
Do you think the voice is on purpose? The voice has to be on purpose. Like that. Has
All
to
of
be a
those
gimmick.
TikToks that have the format of like, this is what it's like to blah blah blah. They all talk like with that cadence, and I think it's just to intentionally like piss people off so you get more likes.
Serge says, "Turn it off. My ears are bleeding."
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Why do they talk like that? Like, here's a day of my life as a Twitter employee.
They're like,
first, I got a matcha green tea in the cafeteria, and then I went on my Peloton, and then I did a meeting, and then...
Is there a Chad version? It's like, went to the Black Panther 2 premiere. Yeah. they asked me to lock my phone up. I said, fuck that.
That'd be kind of funny.
They're like, you can't lock me up.
How is he recording all of this if he got his phone taken away?
Nothing's real.
I don't understand.
It's all fake. Well, no, that was out. Like most of that was filmed outside.
Also, there's nothing surprising about what I just saw. Here's what it's like to go to an exclusive movie premiere. I showed up to the venue. I gave them my phone. I watched the movie, and then I left.
Yeah. We should do
Amazing.
We should do one for here where Mary's like, this is what it's like to work for a day at
Yes,
Timcast.
I have been
Oh
wanting
my
to
God.
do this. I have been wanting to do this. I think that this will happen. Yes.
Like, oh my
I'm going
God.
to do it as obnoxiously as possible.
I come in and I get a coffee from the refrigerator. I can't start my day with
but I have
coffee.
to like exaggerate
Yes.
everything. Like, yes.
We need you to do that. Just holding your phone like this the whole time. Okay, so they point out here that Black Panther 2 Wakanda Forever, that the anticipation has been sky high after making $700 million at the domestic box office, $1.3 billion worldwide. They're like, we're not going to let Top Gun Maverick keep that spot forever. We're coming back for it with Black Panther 2.
Yeah.
So basically here they got people talking about what they feel about the movie, and I saw most of it was positive. 2 hours and 40 minutes. No, thank you.
The only negative review but like first impression I saw on Twitter was from Matt Ramos of the Real Soups.
Yeah.
He said, Wakanda Forever is definitely a step down from the first film. It has great qualities in Letitia's performance, Namor, and the action, but there's a lot that just didn't sit right with me that I can't explain without getting into spoilers. I'll explain more once the film comes out. And then he ranked Wakanda Forever number 3 on Marvel's Phase 4 ranking, right below Spider-Man No Way Home and Shang-Chi, which people found absurd because Shang-Chi was not a well-loved movie.
No.
And then he put Thor Love and Thunder right after that, then Multiverse of Madness, then Eternals. than Black Widow.
My favorite here is it says no spoilers. Wakanda Forever has so many emotions. It was creepy and brutal in parts. There's nothing brutal in Marvel movies. They're all generic sci-fi induced cringe fests when it comes to the violence. None of the violence feels real at all.
Yeah, even in Black Adam, which was marketed that's another superhero movie that was marketed as this super edgy, hardcore, brutal, violent movie, and then it was just, it was almost tame.
I wonder if we're gonna get
superhero movies don't do well with that.
No, I wonder if we're gonna get articles about how. Remember, because we were talking about how somebody mentioned in the chat. Yeah, Uncomfortable Chair says, let's not forget that Letitia was based on the vaccine.
Yeah, I saw some snarky tweet that was here it is. Letitia Wright is a religious nutjob anti-vaxxer. She also happens to be an incredibly talented actress in Wakanda Forever. Her performance is incredible. And then they were just wow.
What a freaking snarky piece of shit.
Can you just compliment her on her performance without
seriously
unfairly maligning her as a nutjob?
Rocks. Somebody take their phone away.
My only hope when actors and actresses see responses like that is that it red pills them. The people in Hollywood.
It doesn't.
Because it's doesn't being unfairly maligned kind of make you sympathize with other people who experience the same thing? And then it doesn't because they're still so
that takes a certain
socially
amount of,
isolated.
So yeah, they're too isolated, and that takes a certain level of self-reflection that is very, very let's face it, a lot of self-reflection can be not just time consuming because you have to actually look actively at yourself, but you can't do it while you're extremely if you're busy every day and you're making a movie, you're not prone to be self-reflective at that time because you're so busy with what you're doing. You kind of need downtime to be very at least I found that for me, personal reflection has come through periods where I've had time to focus on that specifically and ask hard questions about myself, how I'm living, choices I'm making. And I don't fault anyone for not being able to just come to that realization at any point. But you'd think that COVID had red pilled a lot of people, but it really didn't.
No.
So, and then we also have this one that says, this was a tweet that you sent me that's from J.A. George on Twitter, says, you can't use side characters and yet to debut characters as examples of black representation in the MCU as if it solves the T'Challa problem. We need strong black male leads that aren't propped up by their white predecessors. This argument fails to address that. He's right. He's right.
And a white predecessor also means when you race swap a character that used to be white, that's not the same thing as actually doing the work of creating a new character who is black. If representation is your goal, then you would be doing the work it takes.
They should have,
rather than race swapping Hawkman.
Yeah. I was pretty strident that they should have recast him. I think that the movie could have done so. I would have loved to see them do that. I think that would have been a hard search to find. I really wish they would have brought
recasting
Chadwick Boseman. I would have liked them to bring back T'Challa,
but it also would have
Killmonger.
It would have also brought on so much outrage. Even it's either way, you can't really win with a sequel after he died because some people who loved Chadwick Boseman are going to say, "How dare you recast him? No one can be." T'Challa after him. You can't just replace him and expect it to be the same. But then if they didn't recast him out of respect, then they're also told that they're dishonoring his memory because they're replacing him now with a new Black Panther. And it's you really can't win in that situation. It's just an awkward position to be in.
I actually thought that the backlash came because people realized that it was going to be Shuri, which meant that they realized that it was going to be Letitia Wright, and Letitia Wright went against the narrative, so that they were angry because it was Shuri that was going to take over that role, not necessarily that they didn't recast.
Well, if they had picked a different female character to take on the Black Panther mantle who wasn't Letitia Wright.
Yeah, I don't know.
Would that have caused as much backlash?
My gut says probably not, but
simply because maybe people were connected to the idea of a strong black male lead.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's definitely still a lot of snark floating around for Letitia Wright.
Yeah. Well, also it came at a time when they
believe that she stalled filming for the sequel, even though that's entirely like fake news.
And it came out at a time when they literally got named the MCU because of all the projects that were, Black Widow, and then we get She-Hulk, and we get all these projects that very clearly go against where they had been headed before. So it is what it is. I do not have much interest in a 2 hour and 40-minute movie, but alas, we shall.
2 hours and 40 minutes.
2 hours
really?
and 40. I'm good at 2 hours. Like 2 hours is good enough for me at a movie theater. I do not need to be there for 2 hours. And
I even
40
thought
minutes.
Black Adam was too long, and that was not even.
That was 2 hours and 4 minutes.
Yeah, it was 2 hours and 4 minutes. But it's just like, this is gonna drag. I can feel it.
I liked it. I liked it.
No, I mean Wakanda Forever.
Oh yeah, it's gonna by 2 hours we're gonna be like,
Yeah.
All right, guys. Guess what? I know how much you love this. We've got Kanye West news.
Look, guys, I know you hate when we harp on Kanye because he's been such a big deal in the news this month, but I'm going to try to rapid fire all of this.
Go very fast.
Here's a quote from Howard Stern talking about Kanye on Chris Cuomo's show. Kanye was on Chris Cuomo's show, and you got to hear the mental illness self-defense thing that he's into, like, oh yeah, he's just mentally ill, don't worry about it. If he's so mentally ill, why don't they appoint a conservator over his money like they did to poor Britney Spears? And then Ye replied to what Stern said with Lex Friedman, saying, I'm antagonizing you, Howard Stern. I used to be a fan of you. Now you're just doing clickbait like everybody else. You're just a sad old man, Howard. I found that hilarious. Detected. And I think that it's really unfair that people are now calling for Kanye to lose custody of his children. They're calling for him to be placed in an unfair, be coerced into a conservatorship the same way Britney was, but it's considered okay because he stepped over certain bounds that Britney did not.
Yeah.
I really think that this is, again, you'll pay lip service to mental health advocacy, except when it involves Kanye. Keep an eye on more people calling for this conservatorship idea over Kanye, because I'm sure that there are people in his life who would
love that.
Yeah. And I think that's maybe why he wanted to get out of his contracts.
Yep.
Because he wants to feel independent, and even if it makes him less money, have creative pursuits that only belong to him.
So he's back on Instagram after losing $2 billion in one day. $2 billion. That's impressive.
And it's cool that he is willing to sacrifice a lot of profit for the sake of at least what he believes to be his integrity.
Yep.
I don't know if he's fully, in his right mind right now.
She says, as to Adidas, you can start to make new designs for footwear, apparel, and accessories immediately. As to Gap, the non-compete expires on December 15th. You own the Yeezy name and all the trademarks associated with Yeezy. And then down here, he writes to Ari Emanuel. He says, I lost $2 billion in one day, and I'm still alive. This is love speech. I still love you. God still loves you. The money is not who I am. The people is who I am.
I like that.
He's frighteningly sincere.
Here's another update from Spotify's based CEO. No,
not based, but it sounded that way in the original headline. But
he refused to remove Kanye's music from the platform after calls to censor his music, following his proclamation of going DEFCON 3.
DEFCON.
Daniel Ek, CEO of Spotify, said that Kanye West made some just awful comments, but he noted that Spotify would not remove the rapper's music from the platform. He went on to say that because West's statements were not made on the platform in his songs or podcasts, that they can't really adjudicate on that, which is totally fair.
And most companies don't take that approach. Patreon is all too happy to
judging and censoring based off of off-platform behavior is a very scary precedent to set, and I'm glad that Spotify isn't doing that.
And we're long past that in other platforms.
He said,
long past that.
It's really just his music, and his music doesn't violate our policy. It's up to his label if they want to take action or not.
Yep.
So there's that update. He's not going to have his music banned, at least, even though there's a long and growing list of brands that are severing ties with him.
I have that here. First of all, also they shut down Donda Academy.
Yes, there has been a temporary seeming shutdown for Donda Academy throughout the next school year. The the school's principal, Jason Angel, sent an email to the parents recently saying, Dear Donda Academy families, we hope this email finds you well. First, we'd like to express our gratitude for the community of families and scholars that Donda Academy brought together. However, at the discretion of our founder, Donda Academy will close for the remainder of the 2022-23 school year, effective immediately Thursday, October 27th. There is no school tomorrow. All the kids are happy. Our leadership team will be working diligently to assist all families during this transition, ensuring that every scholar has what they need to succeed in their next community in a prompt and gracious manner. We intend to begin afresh in September of 2023, and we are confident that our scholars will continue to advance as the creative innovators, courageous influencers, and academic leaders of the next generation. Thank you for your supports. So this is a temporary shutdown that Kanye himself decided on. I don't know why, but it's probably because it's just so chaotic that he can't have the level of influence that he wants to over the project, and like the people involved don't even have the expertise they need to keep it up and running.
And here's all the brands that have since cut ties: Balenciaga, MRC, which is an entertainment division. They did the documentary. CAA, his talent agency. Adidas, Jaylen Brown and Aaron Donald. Foot Locker, The Real, TJ Maxx, and then is that Madame? What? How do you pronounce that one? Madame
Tussaud.
That's the one who had the sculpture of him.
Yeah,
the wax sculpture.
The wax
they removed from public.
Museum.
Also, he posted the funny thing where it says "Ye cuts ties with Kanye West."
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's just so sad. Like it's. I don't even know what to say about it other than it's in. Like, it feels like every time a new brand cuts ties and a new thing happens, I'm like, really?
And here's the
he
latest
just said
update.
Some awful stuff. Really? All this bad?
Here's the last update that I'm going to inform y'all of. He recently walked into the Skechers corporate office, their headquarters, and was unauthorized filming in there. I don't know what for. Maybe a self-funded documentary, because MRC dropped him. And they escorted him out of the building. Here's a statement from Skechers about the incident. Skechers is not considering and has no intention of working with West. We condemn his recent divisive remarks and do not tolerate anti-Semitism or any other form of hate speech. And they also said that because they're a Jewish-led corporation, that maybe Kanye did his research and broke and entered for that very reason. I think that's highly presumptuous.
Yeah.
I don't think Kanye is a hateful person. He's already openly apologized for the statements he made on Lex Fridman's podcast, saying that he would never intend to say something hateful. A lot of people said he was playing 4D chess, trying to push the limits to the point where he could get out of the Adidas contract. I think whether or not that's a good reason is irrelevant at this point.
It feels like there has to be a better way than something that literally gets you fired from all your businesses.
I know, but maybe complete freedom from restrictions and expectations is what he was looking for in doing that. So those are some updates on Kanye. Just wanted to fly by and comment on it. But mainly what I think is his energy would be a lot better spent focusing on family matters right now, because people are calling for him to be put under a conservatorship so that he can't have ownership over his own money, so that he can't have custody of his children. They're claiming he is incompetent. But any legal expert would say being erratic is not a reason to say someone can't manage their own money. Being erratic is not illegal. It's not inherently dangerous.
Nope. That's a huge problem. That's one of the things that bothers me every time something like this comes up. When somebody says something that other people don't like or find unpalatable, they slip in the word, something they said that was rude and dangerous. Mm-hmm. They can never quantify in which way that it's dangerous or harmful, but that's the language they use, and it sets precedent. That's a problem.
I expect that this divorce between Kim and Kanye, the finalized details of it are going to be ugly. It's going to get ugly, because I think Kim might, because of his erratic behavior, want to get sole custody of their kids, and it's a sad situation to watch.
He needs Kim back. That's what he needs.
I just want Kimmy back together. That's all I care about.
That's what we need.
I know that Kim is a monster, but she's his monster.
Aw, that was adorable. All right, we've got one more. Go for it. You love this story.
Justin Bieber and Shawn Mendes were recently seen broing it up,
At
going
church.
to church together in Beverly Hills Wednesday night.
It's them driving together that I find the funniest
They
part.
drove together to church, to one called Church Home, I think,
Yeah.
in Beverly Hills. It seems like one of these more evangelical celebrity type mega churches in LA.
Osteen's there performing.
Yeah, I mean, Osteen is more of a like Southern drawl
Yeah.
type of guy, but this is sort of a Hillsong type of brand.
Yeah, I was more. I think that that Mendes should be insulted because they asked the question. They said it's unclear if. Oh, they said if they sang inside. Justin is saying inside in the past. Frankly, if they decided to perform at that church after both canceling tours that required them to perform, they should be paying out damages.
Yeah, so this is apparently what Justin Bieber and Shawn Mendes are up to on their indefinite hiatus from touring due to exhaustion and mental health.
Why the hell? My favorite part is like they're so 90s. They've got the dice in the window.
The dice, yeah, and also they're like in matching beige hoodies. Shawn Mendes just looks rather disoriented in that picture.
Thank you.
So I think this is a kind of a cute bromance, but
Yeah, except for they're not doing their jobs.
Yeah, this is your update for what's going on with Shawn Mendes after he canceled his world tour back in the summer.
I don't believe that should be a thing. I think that we should just work ourselves to death until we literally keel over at our desks.
There's totally something to be said for like workaholism or
yes, I'm over
working yourself into a numbness,
because we've found ourselves in a culture that's like where it's like, I'm not going to go to work today. Self-care. I'm going to drink a bottle of whiskey today and throw up in a bathtub and drown in a pool of my own tears.
What we thought about the Shawn Mendes situation is that he had to claim a mental health crisis or else he wouldn't be able to cancel the tour. Like that's his only out in his contract.
Yeah.
Because so many other people's incomes depend on him continuing.
Yep.
And Justin Bieber canceled his tour because he said the exhaustion got to the best of him and he had to make his health a priority. That's interesting after his Ramsay Hunt syndrome was a matter of public record.
Katy Perry's calling him like, can you help me
Katy Perry
with
and
my
Justin
face?
Bieber are like both on the line together. They're like, I mean, I don't know what to do. My eyelid just won't open.
Fixing their eyelids.
So I guess Justin Bieber doesn't have the convenient excuse that his lash glue melted.
Halls and the Kid says Brett buys a new hat. Self-care. I'm not I do not shop as a form of.
Do you have retail therapy?
I'm bored at 3 a.m. and I can't sleep therapy.
Same thing. Same thing.
Sometimes, and it's the meme of like the man, like the woman's like, but it was all on sale. He's like, you're still spending money on stuff we don't need. He's like, we've got a whole closet full of stuff from Marshalls and TJ Maxx that you didn't put out last Christmas. It's like, well, it's the trick. You trick people into buying stuff by telling them that it's on sale. Like, it doesn't matter if it's actually on sale or not. So, yes, good for them, but frankly, they should not have been allowed to perform in there. If they're on break, you shouldn't be allowed to sing at all.
I find something really sinister about Sunday service.
Why?
By the way, like Kanye's Sunday service. I don't know. It just seems like a narcissistic exercise and not the most reverent expression of religion. Like it's more of a celebrity brunch club than anything.
Also, they point out
like they invited Marilyn Manson there. It's not a religious gathering.
Maybe they're trying to convert Marilyn Manson.
Yeah, how's it going?
Evan Rachel Wood's like, nope.
Yeah.
And Hailey Bieber was not there.
She was at an event for Tiffany with that Euphoria gal.
She's not very religious. Is
I
she?
don't think
Is he
so.
religious?
I mean, they actually, I think when she was Hailey Baldwin, they openly talked about how they were like waiting until marriage. They were like abstaining until marriage, and they were like they're Christian and they've both been like openly, at least nominally Christian for years.
He has always been religious, as far as I know. Her, I don't know, but but I still don't believe that he waited till marriage because we know he did not wait till marriage.
No. He doesn't mean that he waited until marriage. He just said they
decided.
waited.
Oh.
So I don't know a real story there, but like that's what they claim. The thing is though, they got married like 3 months after they got back together. They dated for like 2 months in what was it, like 2018. They broke up. Then he was with Selena again, and then he broke up with Selena, and then he got back with Haley Baldwin at the time. And then like 2-3 months they got engaged like almost immediately after getting back together.
They went the Ben Shapiro route.
2-3 months after they got engaged, got married. So people at the time thought they were absolutely out of their minds.
Do they have kids? They don't have kids.
Not yet. No.
Not yet. No. It is what it is. I just think it's. I always knew that he was religious.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. So it is what it is. We got some super chats, guys.
Johnny Derp said YouTube eliminated right angles. That is all.
The corners, man.
That app I'm not reading.
Oh, why not?
That's a little too
spicy.
controversial. He also said, Mary can be my monster. I cringe at that. Thank you. Bobcat said, fun fact, the concept of a conservatorship dates back to the 1800s as a way to handle women who dated men the parents found to be unfit. Well, that's kind of based. On that note, that's the end of the show, guys.
Actually, before we go, I wanted to posit a question to everyone. I wanted to ask, we've been talking about the idea of possibly adding a chill, like a
do you guys want us to do a less structured type of stream? I was thinking we could do it on the channel live, and then the replay of it would go behind the members only.
Yeah.
On timcast.com, and that would be a way that like everyone would be able to watch it.
We would just have
we
to
could just
figure
like
out...
chat with you guys live and not really have a plan, just more of a hangout stream than anything. Or like you guys could suggest topics to cover for us or reviews to do, or just talk about anything. So
like I would like to get your guys' feedback either in the chat here, leave comments, hit me up on Instagram, send me a message at Brett Dasovic. We would have to figure out a day in which to do that, like whatever day of the week.
Or we haven't figured out a day or a time or really like gotten into any of the details, but like this is just something that came to mind because so often we're here in the studio planning our shows and riffing and stuff, and we think like, I wish the live chat could be a part of that. Yeah. Because we have a lot of fun here when you guys aren't watching as well. So we want to let you in on a little more of the behind the scenes stuff, like what our dynamic is when we're not doing this structured show.
So if you guys want to let us know if you guys would be interested in that, it feels like something that there's another opportunity there to connect with everyone that is not kind of tethered to all the topics and everything we're discussing. We want it to be more than that. So we're going to work on that. Hit me up on Instagram at Brett Dasovic for the show. Leave comments here. We're going to work on it. We got a message from Deadman says, Mary missed Bad App's last super chat. I do not think you did.
I intentionally didn't read it.
No, but he had the one after that, which was the Mary.
I read it, and it was cringy.
We got one more there from Potatoes for Seamus.
He said, I approve that idea. Well, we'll be excited to see you there in the chat when we eventually make this happen.
And Serge says, a day in the life of PCC by Mary. Do it. We need it.
It'd be so good. I've been thinking about this for so long, but I just don't know the right way to do it. Maybe I could do a fake one and then I could do a real one.
Yeah.
I could do like a real day in the life and then an exaggerated stupid day in the life.
Yep. Oh my God.
When I remake a TikTok account, then I'll shill it on here and you guys can go check that out. I used to have a TikTok account in the beginning of my stint here, but like then it got banned a week after I started.
Like when you got hired, they're like, Mary's got a big presence on TikTok, and then just immediately hired, like, boom.
Oops. And it wasn't even, it was so unfair because I didn't even like post anything that was specifically offensive. I have no idea why it happened.
Yep.
Another thing, speaking of shill, there is a referral link in our description right now to help us earn points in Jeremy's Razors competition for $250K prize. And you can get 35% off of a Daily Wire Plus membership using that link, or $12 off of one of his founders kits. It really helps us out. I'm impressed with the amount of points we've racked up so far. I don't know if there's a public leaderboard. I don't think there is one, but we really appreciate it if you use the link, guys. So just thought I'd throw in a little shill for that.
Perfect. Guys, also, what was the other thing? There was something else that I wanted to mention. Oh, next week, we will not have shows Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. The plan right now is we will have the show on Monday, and then we will have the show on Friday. On that day, I believe that we will have Ian possibly and Carter on for those shows, and that will be a lot of fun. But I just wanted to give you guys a heads up, and if anything changes for that, you can check the community tab on the YouTube page. That's where we'll be doing updates for that. But I just wanted to give you guys a heads up for that ahead of time and say thank you so much for checking in on all of these episodes and being part of this community. It's amazing. So we got one more. Oh, I don't know if no, we're not reading that one. Never mind. Nope. Sorry. I caught it. I threw it to you too quickly, and then I went, no, we're not reading that. So, Mary, why don't you let everyone know where they can find you?
Yeah, on that note, you can see pictures of me on Instagram at Mary Archived, and you can hear my inane thoughts on Twitter also at Mary Archived. Go follow me on there. And TikTok coming soon, apparently.
People in the chat are like, don't do it. We're going to get tracked by the CCP. They're going to get us. Guys, if you want to follow me again on Instagram at Brett Dastic for the show, we are here Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you like to listen rather than watch, that is always an option. And we are on social media, Twitter at popculture_show, Facebook and TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, and on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. I'm going to try to not screw up any more thumbnails this week. We'll be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then, guys. Later.
Bye.